Hey, cycle breakers and barrier breakers alike. Welcome to the Fuck That Bullshit podcast, where we advocate, educate, motivate, and create a safe space for you to embrace the mental wealth of marginalized and disenfranchised communities. We are serving no bullshit knowledge, tools, strategies, and insights. And yes, we will be entertaining. Our goal each episode is for you to leave feeling empowered, ready to take action and make meaningful choices that pave the way to your abundant mental wealth. So enjoy, like, subscribe, share, and discuss. Make sure you save it too, just in case you want to look back at it and get some more tips and things. The PTBS podcast is for education, empowerment, and inspiration. It is not a substitute for therapy or professional mental health care. If you're in need of additional support, please reach out to a licensed mental health provider. Warning: the Fuck That Bullshit podcast is intended for mature audiences only. This podcast contains raw, unfiltered conversations about mental health, social issues, and breaking generational cycles. We keep it real, unapologetic, and explicit because healing and empowerment require honesty. We're going to have strong language and adult themes, unfiltered discussions on race, identity, and mental wealth, challenging bullshit narratives without censorship. So if you're easily offended, this might not be for you, and it's definitely not for kids. But if you're ready for bold, barrier-breaking conversations that empower, educate, and entertain, tap in and let's fuck that bullshit together. Let's go. Hey.
What it is, what it is.
Hey, what's happening? What's happening?
What it gonna be? Welcome to the Fuck That Bullshit podcast of this week.
Indeed.
Indeed. And if you've been paying attention, because I've been doing a good job this week on promotion and all that, we're talking about black folk and the music and things, y'all. Like,
Very important subject.
And fuck that is just music bullshit. The power, the history, and the healing of black music. Hell yeah. That's what we're doing. That's what we talk about. Now, I was trying to fix this. Look like my other Facebook thingy. Look like it kicked it off or whatever. So I'm going to actively try to fix this while we're doing this. But we got 2 Facebook lives happening. So if you're on one, switch to the other one. There's the Choosing Empowerment page, and then there's Shawnnell, your favorite no bullshit therapist, Batiste page, and all that. Or you can watch on YouTube at Choosing Empowerment. Yeah, but we got places. Get
on YouTube, people.
Okay, get on YouTube. Fred said, go to YouTube. Go to YouTube if you can't see it, where you at, and all that. So welcome. We ain't got no videos. We are just talking today, people. We are just talking.
Should be happening. Should be happening.
And they're trying to run a business, all that kind of stuff. So, I mean, it's fine. It's good. That's what we're going to do. So,
real life, folks.
Let's start where we start at, though. What we want to start at, like the history. Let's talk history. Like, it come from a long time ago.
I mean, but, we've been making quality music for a long time. And I think, most black people and some white people know that music, our music was a form of communication. And that lasted for a long, that way it's even now. I think it's still a form of communication. It's just saying something different. Different people.
That's the truth.
Different people writing the songs. You know what I mean? So, but the history of us communicating through not just and it really from the as far back as I know,
Uh-huh.
that communication was rhythmic as
Right.
opposed to lyrical, because we had to speak
Right.
distances. You know what I mean?
Right.
It wasn't nobody going on top of damn mountain screaming, screaming. You know what I mean? But
Right.
and that's other cultures too. I mean, we don't have the we don't have the copyright on musical communication, but we
Right.
just talking
Absolutely.
about us. So
Right. So we
so
black. So we talk about
right,
black.
right,
You know
right.
what I'm saying? Just
So, but
no
yeah,
shade on nobody else, but
right.
all we know is what we know about us. Can't speak on everybody else.
Exactly. And
That's all.
throughout the years, it stayed that way. It stayed that way for a long time. Yeah, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And I think we cornerstone that. And that's what makes our music different from a lot of other people's music. A lot of as far as white music goes, their music always been for entertainment purposes only. You know what I mean?
Right.
For the majority. For
Right.
the majority. It's been for entertainment purposes only. Our music historically has always tried to either tell you something, teach you something,
Right.
and entertain you. And if y'all really
Say that.
listen, y'all will see that the music that entertains you is also educating you at the same time.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. And of course I don't have detail, but like just generally, like we know, even coming from an African standpoint and
Right.
tribal stuff and all that, like or even Native Americans, there's a lot of drum work and there's
Right.
stuff, like
Yeah.
rhythmic,
Mhm.
footwork, and stuff like that. I remember when I got this revelation, even watching Sinners, because that's gonna be a big part of this conversation, y'all. Watching
Mhm.
Sinners, when they reached the point where that ancestor was doing that footwork, I thought about double dutch, right? And so how it's
Right. I can see
Okay.
that. Yep.
I never could jump double dutch, but
I thought I had it once.
yeah,
I
almost,
didn't. I
almost, yeah,
didn't.
yeah. But like when I saw the footwork, I was just like, you know what? That's what when you're doing double dutch, you got to
Right.
boom, 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 move them feet, right?
Mhm.
And all that. So like, and I watch a lot of um African people that from Africa that's on TikTok or on social media and all that. And when they're doing like tribal dances and stuff like that, like the ability we have, to move the feet fast or to like jump in a way that looks like you floating before you hit the
Right.
ground, right?
Right.
And all that. So like all that's like special, but it travels all the way through to now. There's still elements of all of the things in what we do
Exactly. Yeah.
and in every genre.
Yep.
In every genre, which is one thing that scene in Sinners brought us to. It showed us, okay, here's all the stuff from the past, but look at how it links up and it all connects, right? There's always the rhythm, and even that part with when Perlene was singing, like the
Yeah.
stomping, boom,
Yep. Yep.
boom, like,
And I saw an example of that also in
mhm.
The Harder They Fall, which
Okay,
was another awesome
Oh,
movie.
okay.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. I know
Yep.
what part you're talking about.
Mhm.
write that down. The harder they fall.
You haven't
Ooh,
watched that?
ooh, girl, you need to watch.
What?
Boy, that'll be the best Western you ever saw in your
Bruh,
life.
I
for
will.
And
real.
and and I think one of the things that make The Harder They Fall stand out so heavy
Mhm.
is it was that 99.9% black cast, and you
Mhm.
had Idris Elba in there and
Right.
Yeah.
Jonathan Majors.
Uh-huh.
Um it it wasn't look we black. It wasn't
Right.
that.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
was just
You just
natural.
being. It was just being.
It was
Right.
natural.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It was just
Because
existing.
I thought that was a Coogler film too,
Uh-huh.
because of all the the Easter eggs in it.
Mhm.
Oh,
But
word.
but it's not Coogler.
Yeah.
I can't remember the
Dang, what's
guy
his
named
name?
I can't remember the
I
guy
can't
name that
remember his
directed
name,
it,
but
but
yeah,
he's
he did
good.
great.
Because I
Okay.
definitely said I'm gonna start following all his movies.
Yeah.
That joint's freaking good though.
No,
I
Right.
mean, it's real.
I watched Harder They Fall the same way y'all went back and forth to watch Sinners.
Really?
Yeah.
I must have watched Harder They Fall at least 6 or 7
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
I think I done seen that joint. I almost know the freaking line. You know what I'm
You
saying?
know the whole monologue.
Yeah,
Right.
I tried to get Melissa to watch it, but I
But
don't
she,
like westerns. I'm like, it's not a regular western. It's a better
right. It's
western.
No,
You know
different.
what I'm
That's
no.
saying?
right. That's different. You know.
Yeah. Like you said, the way that they did it, it was like they belonged there.
Yeah.
It didn't feel forced.
Right. Yeah, it didn't feel like a Tyler Perry.
Right. It said the director is The Bullets. Is that it? It says The Bullet. I don't know what that is. Bullets, and they said producers are Jay-Z, James Lassier.
Well, he threw some money in it.
That's it.
Yeah. I'm not giving them that kind of.
Executive producers of money with the money people. Yeah, the producer was director was a British filmmaker and songwriter called The Bullets, Bullitts.
Yeah, I believe so. I believe that is the name.
Okay.
Black Brother. Cool. Yeah, that joint was freaking good. Cinematography was off the chain.
Yep. You know, because even with that, like when a movie has a good score, you know, when it got a good soundtrack.
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie. Yeah, that soundtrack was hitting. That soundtrack was hitting.
You know. I feel it.
Are you drinking Kool-Aid in a wine glass?
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to spruce it up.
You good?
I'm going to go ahead and find it because they're not paying me no money, but Eclipso, if you would like to.
There you go.
That's why I always turn my can to the side, like you don't know what it is already. And shit, you know? One day they gonna call me and be like, "Hey man, you need sponsorship over there?" Yes, sir.
As long as you're not trying to censor what we're saying, we're fine.
Exactly. Like, don't control me. Just sling some money this way.
Some money over here. Exactly.
Yeah, I wasn't going to tape up the front of my Saints head. I'm representing.
Well, that's different sports team. Shit, I know. Have a big ass piece of tape on there. Then we'll be looking like a Tyler Perry film for sure.
Right.
Yeah, looking cheap as shit. I think Tyler Perry's backing those guys. You saw that tape on the hat?
Right. Shut up. All right.
We're gonna have to get Tyler Perry on this show.
We can bring Tyler. Come on, Tyler. You want to come?
I got questions.
Talk about some things.
I know.
Questions like
and we from your hood, so like we understand you, but like speak to us. Tell us what's happening. You know what I'm saying? Tell us what's happening. So everybody has a soundtrack to their life. What any periods of your life you can remember what the soundtrack was?
Well, I've had a soundtrack since. Oh my God!
And
well, my adult life. My soundtrack would be an actual soundtrack. Coincidentally, it's an actual soundtrack. Trouble Man. That whole start to finish. That whole album, because it describes me, personal me. You know what I mean? Okay. And the thing about it, because I'm a jazz head. So it's more musical than lyrical. You know what I'm saying? Yes. So and I always vibe with it. And it's not even necessarily a good mood thing or a bad mood thing or feeling happy or feeling sad thing. It just it fits no matter what I'm doing. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Bet. What about you?
I think my soundtrack, because I thought about that and we talked about it yesterday, would have to be like New Orleans jazz and
I could feel that.
Because in high school I was in a band. I spent a lot of time like going to free concerts in Congo Square and all of that. So that music just resonates with me. Period. Like no matter if I'm feeling good, I can listen to it. If I'm feeling like crap, I can listen to it. Like it fits me. So
good. I can feel that. I think for me, it would be a mixture of anything Jill Scott and India Arie.
Yeah.
That Jill Scott.
I can see that with you. Yeah. Whenever I think of music and I think of you, I think like Jill Scott, India Arie, because at one point you were super heavy into the poetry and stuff.
Yeah. I remember I used to go to the poetry spots and stuff. I still got my poetry book over there, man. Sometimes I break it out, I'm like, write me a poem today. You know what I'm saying? Like, That was fun. That was good times. That was good times.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but like, I love like I love the musical composition of stuff and all that, but I love lyrics.
Yeah.
I love lyrics because they say something. Because they, you know, so a lot of times when I'm listening to a lot of today's music is unfulfilling, not because it ain't got a strong beat and you could dance to it, you know, but like it's not saying nothing, right? So if a song not too much, you know, because you could have a one-liner and it says something, but it's a strong one-liner, right? Say the same thing over and over. It has this. You could say, as Black people, we could say the same phrase over and over again, but it'll mean something different every time we say it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, you know, what up, Metal Association?
Yeah, good evening.
Oh, George. Nurse Nas couldn't get it on Facebook. Nurse Nas.
She's on YouTube.
Oh, you're on the YouTube. There you go. Go to the YouTube.
Spread the word, Nurse Nas.
I vouch for that YouTube.
Yes. Hey, Nene.
Hey.
Yeah.
We're getting a lot of love here today.
Exactly.
Well, I did a good job of advertising. And I actually went on my page this week and I actually sent the invite to everybody on there. So I'm getting better. Getting better at marketing.
Now, you know what? While we're on this thing with music, Shawnnell, I'm going to give you some props that I've never given you.
Okay.
You're the reason why I'm so deep into neo soul.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. That's what's up.
When we were going to the poetry spots, I think I heard, it was not Erykah Badu. India Arie. She's my favorite neo soul artist.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Period. Point blank.
Look, I like to gatekeep my Black stuff. This is a Black podcast talking to Black people. So I got to say, like, if you ain't on that India Arie, get on the India Arie.
She got a new joint out now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And plus, when I moved to Virginia, and I actually got to meet what's his name? Oh, damn.
What do you think?
I hate Brown Sugar.
Oh, D'Angelo.
Yeah, because he's from Richmond. So I actually got to meet him at like a poetry club out there in Richmond.
Yeah.
I found out all my friends was like stupid because none of them was into that. So,
right. Yeah.
They said D'Angelo created neo soul. I know. Disagree, and so does D'Angelo. Now D'Angelo disagrees with that. Yeah, you know what I mean? Because if you go back and listen to Denise Williams' old jazz joints, she was doing that. She was doing that in the 70s. So and that was his point too. He was like, they keep saying that. I ain't really feeling that, because
I think people don't acknowledge like how the progression goes, right? So like when we go to Africa and we talk about the drums and the rhythms and all that stuff, and then you get slavery, you get old Negro spirituals, right? And all that, and those were messenger songs or sounds of survival, and we just trying to figure out how to make it and all that. And then you start incorporating in order to, like going back to Sinners, like when Delta Slim was in that car telling that story, right?
Okay.
And he's like, this horrible thing happened, and you can feel the pain, you can see it in his face, and he said, There you go. Right? And all that. I can remember that in my mama. I can remember that in Mimi.
I definitely remember Mimi.
Seeing that pain, even as a kid, as a young person, but they sang it out. Right? And all that. Wade in the water, sweet low, sweet chariot, right? And stuff like that. And those are songs that try to help fulfill that pain, like a place to put that pain. And all that. But I think the same thing with neo soul, because you go from blues to soul, and soul and neo soul comes out of soul, right? You got jazz intertwined, blues, soul into gospel, right? And all that. All of it is like there's a string attached to all of it, right?
Right, yeah, because I mean, if you listen to especially like Ray Charles old shit, All he did was took gospel music and turned it into ballroom music. You know what I mean? Because the whole the setup, the rhythm, the cadence, it was all the same. Which was why Black people were drawn to it. Because if there's one music that we all had and we all shared, it was that gospel music. You know what I mean?
Yep. Absolutely. Yep. So like, because it's all tied together, and of course, as we know, the culture vultures will always take what we got and try to use themselves, right? And all that kind of stuff. So then, like you said, like Motown era and 60s and 50s and all that, what Cadillac Records was one that showed it. Dream Girl showed it,
right.
Where they would make a song. He's like, I got a Cadillac.
That was a good ass movie. I didn't think I was gonna like it.
So like they flipping it and all that. As we was researching this week, I found the original You Ain't Nothing But a Hound Dog.
Okay, by
what's her name? I forgot her name.
I forgot her name too. And they was showing, and somebody like colorized the video of her or whatever and all that, and it was fire. And coming out of her mouth, it make perfect sense, right? And I'm like, why he even took that song? Because, because she was talking about a no good ass nigga.
That's exactly what she was talking about. Well,
so
back then too, like when a label took your music, because basically it was really nothing that we could do about it. Once they snatched it, it wasn't your song. It's like Lil Wayne jacking your song. It's not your song no more. Lil Wayne's song now. So there was really nothing you could do, and they just gave it to whoever they artist was, because you got to think about it. They was fucking over the artists too.
Right.
So, but yeah, I mean, they still doing that. That ain't never changed.
Back then, it was like so blatant. It was like crazy. So they just sung whatever they had. Like you said, Dreamgirls showed it when Jamie Foxx stole What's Her Face song.
Right.
Yeah.
So
and I mean, if you ever seen that that New Edition movie. And man, that was and I'm sitting there watching it, and I'm like, wait a minute, when they came out with Any Heartbreak, they were still living in the project. You know what I mean? Because
my mind was blown watching it.
I really thought, especially by then. Now, when they came out with Candy Girl, I'm like, all right, they still live in the same neighborhood.
But by the time
Any Heartbreak, they were still struggling.
Why?
They were still struggling. And that's the thing too. They get them young cats, and they but even then, like Fred was saying, it was blatant because they were still living in the projects, which means they really was getting nothing. The difference is now they give them something. Right. They give them something, and what they don't realize is them cars. That's a rental. That house. That's a rental. You know what I'm saying? So they get a lot of looks. Because they need their artists to actually look successful. You know what I'm saying? Not just make music and then hide behind the scenes, which is what they used to do.
Right.
But all that money you owe every time you get something.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Because the label paid for everything.
Right.
Well, me and Brian put a label together. The label paid for everything. They paid for your video, they paid for your marketing.
My contract was great.
Yeah.
I remember I took my contract to the lawyer. And that lady said, you giving money away. And I was like, yup. I said, I'm giving them what they earned though. Like my contract, and before I even knew about the way Wu-Tang contracts work, but my contract was like a Wu-Tang contract. You know what I'm saying? When with G-Funk Records, because on average the artist only gets 1% of record sales. So I was like, no. You get 75% of record sales. I get 25. You know what I'm saying? Because in real life, the studio we had, like Six was our producer. So we didn't have to pay for an outside producer. We got our own person. You could pay for an outside producer, but that'll just come out of your pocket. You know what I'm saying? And the studio we was using, we had been using that studio for so long. Dude basically was charging us little to nothing. And we was going up in there. If we had 5 songs to do, we practice for a week in my living room. We hit the studio, we pop them songs out like that. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
So, studio, you should be ready.
It was. But then again, I was in it for the love of the music. I wasn't in it for. I wasn't in it trying to get over, because we all gonna get. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
We all gonna get. You know.
Yeah, I can feel that. All right. With social media now, labels shift marketing onto the artist, so the artists get more of the burden themselves now. This is absolutely true.
Yeah, that's true. Charging them the same though.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's the case. Charging them the same. And but then now it is a little easier, because an artist can get on and do an Instagram and basically just be going shopping. You know what I'm saying? You walk with me through my regular day for 45 minutes.
Right.
And that's they advertise. Nigga just had their own song playing in the background.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
TikTok has been good for that for people.
Right.
I found so many nice jazz artists, like new artists and stuff on TikTok. Man, they fire too. Yeah. And so because they learning to, like, there's more independent artists now, because they like, I'm not doing that record label mess. I'm going to continue to like promote myself, right? And all that, and let my audience find me, because I think it's also Nurse Now said, well, artists really took the marketing over and I ain't
gonna lie, that's real too, because they all learned from Tribe Called Quest, New Edition. Prince made a serious ass point. You know what I'm saying? And for those that are serious, you know what I mean. A lot of them kids, they just doing what they told. They give them 10,000, give them $15,000-$20,000 in cash. That's more money than they ever seen. They just follow suit. Yep. And they just follow suit and be like, man, here's a ugly ass Tesla truck on 26s. You know what I'm saying? And they feel like, boom, I done accomplished it, but they still trying to go for that hood rich mentality. But then you got people that understand the business, like Jay-Z, that understand the business and then built the business out of it. Problem is he ain't on enough podcast talk shows or doing his own shit, letting them other artists know. And I'm not saying that he don't do that at all, because I don't know what he do. I'm just saying that for a person to be that popular, if he was doing that, that would be that popular as well. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of times the cats that figured out and then keep that knowledge.
They keep it. Yeah, exactly.
But you can't be special if everybody went in the same way you went. You know?
Right.
I feel that. So we talked a little bit about African roots and how the drum is sacred and not just an instrument. Is used in ritual, prayer, war, healing, initiation. We just talked about footwork and dance and storytelling and praise. And when we couldn't talk about the things, we use music, right? Couldn't talk about suffering, so we use music. We couldn't express ourselves just by talking and saying what we need to say. We don't stick it in the music, right?
Right.
You know, do you have a moment where like music connected you, or like something, a song or a moment that either brought that sealed a memory into your head?
Oh yeah, plenty.
Yeah.
What that song is? The song "Flowers" by The Emotions. Reminds me of Farina. while I was cooking that Farina, and the song was playing, and I was like, and every time I hear the song, I'm like, damn, that goddamn Farina. That Farina pissed me off. You know what I mean? And a lot of songs, a lot of 80s pop takes me back. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, a lot of 80s pop takes me back. I think a lot of the majority of R&B, because I'm constantly listening to it from then even to now. You know, it's always around. But like if I hear some Duran Duran out the friggin' blue, I'm like, man, you know,
That's funny because Duran Duran, reminds me of you.
Yep. Yeah, I was always bumping that Duran Duran.
So we was hanging out and stuff like that.
Yep.
You know, we was listening to Duran Duran. So That's my sealed memory. You know. So, you got any sealed one?
Love You 1,000 Times
Mm-hmm.
reminds me, and Brian might know, it's before I even start talking about when we was growing up across the canal on Delaware Street every Saturday. Mm-hmm. That was our cleanup song.
Word.
What
Smoke gets in your by
the Planners.
The Planners and
the Planners
and Your Eyes by Johnny Mathis.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That was that and that Marvin Gaye. That was the cleanup music. Matter of fact,
that was the cleanup music.
Matter of fact, you can ask any of my kids, and Mo know that on them cleanup days, I used to play that same Marvin Gaye album.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Same Marvin Gaye album.
That's what's up. Yeah. And I realized
the beautiful part about that, none of those times were bad. I think us three had the most good time.
Oh yeah,
just cleaning up to that music.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it's never. I can't think of nothing. It's not like she went off, beat our ass, and then put "Love You 1,000 Times" on to clean up.
Right.
You know, we heard the music when we heard that song come on.
You heard the
got up,
the cleanup theme. You knew what time it was.
Right, you know what it was. Right. So it just connected those moments and stuff like that. You know, and I think like because memory is sealed in the brain through emotion. So it's usually when something is really good or something's really bad, like so it connects to that particular emotion. Those are the things we remember the most. Not that we don't remember nothing ever, but those are the things that, and those moments get sealed with smell and sound and everything that surrounds the senses in that, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, Nurse and I said, by the time Mama started playing gospel, it was time to go outside.
Cleveland.
That's right. Yes.
You know what? Shirley used to do that too. When the gospel came on, we went outside.
Yeah.
It was like clockwork.
So you knew you knew the shift.
You know, Mimi used to play that WBOK all day.
All day. You walking Mimi out.
Yeah. I'm telling you. I thought we were never gonna learn no new Michael Jackson song.
Not ever.
Not at your house.
Not over there. Yes,
not on Pauline Street, buddy.
Not there. You know. Speaking of Michael Jackson, what's your favorite Michael Jackson song, or what album you say is the best album?
I'm not gonna say Thriller.
No.
Thriller was the bestseller, but
bestseller.
I think Ben. That was a good album. That was a good album. Yeah, it was really, 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 really good album. And that was enough. He was an artist. Even as a kid, he was an artist.
He was an artist,
And I mean, because he cared about his craft. He was trying to create something, you know.
Right. What's your favorite?
That's
me. Off the Wall. That is my favorite. It's like my favorite album and my favorite song
with hits. Yeah.
Yes.
That was my favorite. My favorite Michael Jackson song is "I Can't Help It."
Yeah.
I don't know what it is about that. And whenever I hear that song, I will stop doing whatever I'm doing to listen to that song.
And I think Mike got a song for every mood.
Yeah.
He do.
If you in love, he got a song for that. You know what I'm saying? Your baby mama tripping, he got a song for that.
Yep. That goddamn
he do. Okay, I got a question for the panel here.
Okay.
Prince or Michael Jackson, who you think was better?
I think, and I mean that's an easy question for me because I've been answering that question for quite some time down. I think there is no comparison between the two. That was always like an odd pit against one another because what Michael Jackson was doing and what Prince was doing was two completely different things. You know what I'm saying?
I'm glad you said that.
Yeah, Michael Jackson was trying to save the people, the trees, the animals, the oxygen,
make it a better place.
The holes in the ozone. He was trying to save everybody.
Make you look in the mirror.
Yep.
Yeah.
Whereas Prince was trying to get you hip to something else. Like he was trying to take you on a next level of thinking. You know what I'm saying? They were two completely different people. So I think both of them,
those two things that they were doing were both necessary and they actually intertwined, right?
Oh yeah.
You have to have an appreciation for the world and the things and the people and the living things and yourself and hold yourself accountable, all that stuff. And Prince was like, raise your level of consciousness, man.
Exactly.
Exactly. You had to do what Michael was saying in order to raise your level of consciousness.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think there was the perfect yin and yang.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. I did, but because and Prince was always fucking with Michael Jackson anyway. Like, he was the bully, the man. You know what I mean? Because Michael Jackson wanted Prince on Beat It. Like, if you watch the video, that character that Wesley Snipes played, he wanted Prince to do that in the video. And I saw an interview. Prince was like, "Yeah, man, he wanted me." He said, "You know the Wesley Snipes part." He said, "Now picture me running out there doing that shit." You know what I'm saying? He thought it was funny. But what Prince did do, Michael Jackson, after he finished Beat It, the song, he sent it to Prince, on some Tell Me What You Think.
Yeah.
Prince took that man's song, redid it in a Prince way, sent it back and said, "This is what it should sound like." And I've been trying to get my hands on the Prince copy of Beat It for years.
What?
For years. Can't find it
Can't find nowhere.
I'm gonna have to get my fucking MI6 hat on to find that shit. Because I bet that shit sounded dope as hell. Yeah.
Oh man. But I'm glad you said that, because I've been saying that for a long time. When Michael Jackson came up in the Motown era.
Right.
That I think a lot of people don't remember or realize. He came up in an era where that was the music that they were making. Even when they got older, they didn't too much get away from that.
He didn't divert from like that. Yeah.
Prince came up when we were teenagers and young adults.
Well, no, really. Prince came up under Rick James. Prince came up under a funk group. Because when Rick James went on tour, I know about Prince shit. When Rick James went on tour, Prince was still like doing local clubs in Minneapolis. And Rick James was at a club in Minneapolis, saw Prince perform, and he was like, "Yeah, I'm taking that cat on tour with me." So he took Prince with him and had Prince opening for him. Prince would get out on that stage and tear that mug up.
Yeah.
Rick James was like,
Rick
James was like, "This nigga gotta go."
He is upstaging me. He got to go.
And it turned into this whole challenge thing. He was opening for Prince, and I mean, he was opening for Rick James, but he was like blowing it up. So Rick would come on behind him and try to outdo him. Like, Rick James was cutting his speakers off, cutting the lights out. It would turn into a bunch of bullshit, man. But
so basically, you saying Prince pulled a Bernie Mac on Rick James like Bernie Mac did on Steve Harvey.
First of all, I ain't gonna get into that. We're talking about music. So
I was about to say something about Steve Harvey. I was like, we ain't talking about that.
But I got the pen.
Write that down. You can show.
That's a show. Oh, that's a show. Okay. All right. So let's move into colonization and culture vultures. As usual, they take our stuff for several reasons. One of those things is usually fear. And they're trying to keep us from being unified because our music does unify us.
Right.
So we use rhythm to communicate. We use those songs to communicate. You know, when slaves was running away, they couldn't just run around being like, "Meet me out back." They had songs for it.
Meet me at the gas station.
Right. You know, they're always being watched. People always paying attention. So, as the clever Black folks as we is, they came up with codes, and they came up with rhythms and songs and all that stuff. So you heard a certain song, you know what was happening, right?
Right.
And so they thought they were just singing in them fields, but they were saying stuff.
Exactly.
Right. The drums were outlawed during slavery in many colonies and replaced, and then we replaced that by clapping, stomping, and moaning.
Right.
So colonizers hate to see black people happy. They want to control it. Lord knows.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna touch on this when we have to stay on it. But if you like when working at a job, you notice that mentality is the same.
Oh my God.
They don't want the slaves, I mean employees, intermingling. You know, they don't want them intermingling too long. Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean?
Right.
So yeah, that mentality never left.
Busy work, keep it separated. Don't talk about too much. Please don't talk about your salary. Don't talk about this. Don't talk about that.
I love it when they say, don't, and you know, don't tell people how much you get paid. I'm like, so yeah, I'm gonna do that if I want to. You know, that's my goddamn money. JG Wentworth said I can use it when I need it. You know what I'm saying? So I can tell whoever
it's your money. You want it now.
Exactly. Yeah, like, nah, you don't have that kind of juice.
You know what? That's what the girl in straw should have said. It's my money and I want it now.
Yeah, she's. You know what? If Tyler Perry was clever, he would have did that. That would have been a good little in between joke. But he don't.
Absolutely. You know, so like. You know, field songs and spirituals, coded messages like "Wait in the Water," "Steal Away," you know, all those. Come on, let's gather up, let's do that stuff or whatever, right? And music can be dangerous depending on who it is that's using it, right?
Right.
So, in essence, though. Dang, I said essence.
We talk about essence.
We're about to get it in essence. I want to talk about that, like how they see us gather together. They see us commune on that shit. They know, they understand the power of it, right? And all that.
Right.
And not only ancestrally, but if you study like, you know, metaphysics and understand vibration and the power of vibration and sonic, you know, things, sound, and like sound is so powerful, right? It can move things, like sound can move shit, right? And all that. So they understand the power of the tongues, the power of those vocals, the power of those horns and all that, right? And so they meant to take it from us, right? They meant to take it from us because it unified. And I don't need you niggas collaborate. Okay?
Right.
I don't need y'all collaborating and all that. Which is also why they take it now and restructure it. They take it now. When hip hop started, it was beautiful. It was oh my God. And it was unifying us again and getting the young folks on the same track. And it was, you know, all our conscious rappers and you know what I'm saying? Like Tribe Called Quest and like, you know,
right. But even Stetsasonic, like cats used to walk around and be like, man, what's today's mathematics? Like we was really on some we trying to be out there type shit. You know what I'm saying? Right. And then they had to they had to. They had to. Because hip hop was, which was, I mean, because remember at one point they were so heavy on against hip hop, they was taking motherfuckers to court. Like just trying to cancel
it. Yeah, they tried to cancel it, but it wouldn't work. So then they had to cancel
it. I want to give a shout out and props to and make the point of Luke. Now, granted, Luke was pop. That Gucci pop. That's what he right. Luke was the one who went to court and fought for those rights. Like you can't fuck with what I say on a song.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? So it opened up the doors for a lot of other people. And I think now they're on the we can't beat them, join them thing. So going on, give them the ugly ass Tesla truck and some money. Rent them some nice houses.
I'm also gonna tell you what to write. I'm gonna tell you
exactly. It's like you can't talk about politics, you can't talk about culture, you can't talk about certain things that's going on. Yeah. And it's cool now because we got writers for you. So it'll be sexy red all day. You know what I'm saying? It'll be that. You know, which is entertaining.
But you can't talk about making love. But you can talk about
talk
about baby mamas. You can talk about killing niggas, shooting niggas. You can talk about crack. You go all these things, but like glorify it though. Glorify it.
Right. Exactly.
It's not like it's cool. It's cool.
Right. Because
Get the money, get the stacks.
Even our music that came off sounding harsh, you know what I mean, or negative rather, wasn't. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people look at NWA like NWA was a negative. No, them dudes were actually a positive group. Right. Because when they talked about what was going on in the hood, they talked about or rapped about rather what was going on in the hood. They did not necessarily glorify it at all. You know what I'm saying? It was more like you do this and these are the consequences.
Right.
You know, they talked about life where they live.
Right. Right. And this comment says that they try and take down anything that tries to buck the system. Punk rock has died, and you have Republicans listening to down with the system.
Yep. So and you know what? I was gonna mention that because it's not right. It's not just the black thing. They were a lot of them punk rock groups, especially in the UK, that was bucking the systems like all the time, and they got rid of them. You know, and he had a lot of ska groups. Boy, that ska is so I love that shit. Ska is like a mixture of pop and reggae. It's I ain't gonna lie, it's the most beautiful sound, one of the most beautiful sounds of music I ever heard. But there were a lot of those groups. Even had a pop group. Oh man, I forgot the name, but they had a song called Safety Dance. And if you listen to the song, it just sounds like like in the 80s it worked. You know what I mean? And if you listen to it today, you'd be like, what the fuck is he talking about? But it was actually a rebellion song, but it was tucked away in this kind of poppy, happy kind of sound. And they was complaining about the way the bouncers wouldn't allow them the freedoms in the clubs to, you know, express themselves and, you know what I'm saying, to dance and do whatever it is they was doing. So and coming back to us, they took all that from us because we started that shit. But anyway, we gotta mention it. But you know what I'm saying, I'm down with anybody's, you know, rebellion for the right thing, you know.
Absolutely. You know, and the 60s and 70s had a lot of that rebellion hidden and tucked away in songs and stuff. So let's talk about lyrics. We're gonna talk about lyrics. So because music can be used as protest, praise, and power. So like civil rights era, lift every voice and sing, change gonna come, Nina Simone joints, that Curtis Mayfield, you know. So there's all these artists that were speaking the truth of the time, and most of those lyrics are timeless, right?
Yeah,
they still
they're still very relevant today.
Right. We use Black church and gospel as fuel for freedom, and we just talked about like NWA. Don't forget Public Enemy. You know,
I was gonna say a little something about Public Enemy too. That was one of the most Public Enemy and X-Clan. One of the most aggressive black groups like ever.
Yeah.
And you know, Ice-T, flat out cop killer. And you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Exactly. Right. And those were the things that scared the shit out of them. You know what I mean? That's why they didn't make a whole lot of noise about Public Enemy, because they was like, because if you went at them, they was gonna come back at you. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
They was gonna come back at you. But and it's crazy because I watch videos of Public Enemy concerts, and I went to a Public Enemy concert. It was white people. They was just jamming out. I was like, damn, I guess, all right. You know what I'm saying? I was like,
but that's the thing. And me and the girls were talking about this. The fact that white people listen different. Like they don't like, and let's use this for another example. Most black people went to the movies and saw what needed to be. They saw all the things.
Right.
There were some that didn't, but those that saw. Right. Most white people in general, don't y'all come acting crazy. In general, we're talking generalities, but for the most part, they didn't see what we saw. They was like,
they saw a movie.
Right.
And it's not. And it's not. Right.
And that's why we keep those things coded, and which is why we fuss at people who don't gatekeep, or we like stop. I saw somebody last week. Stop explaining stuff. Stop getting on the internet explaining stuff to people. If you don't know nobody personally that can tell you what it means, you know, it is somebody DM if they don't like you. Communicate directly, right? Because it's not for everybody. Our stuff is for us, right?
Right.
And all that. And so even and however whatever our language is, because we've had to create language for ourselves, right?
Mm-hmm.
Somebody mentioned that about Ebonics. Stop explaining to people what Ebonics. That's our language.
Right.
It's our language, right? It's how we talk to each other. Our slang is for us. You ain't supposed to know what I'm talking about because I'm not talking to you. You know?
Wait. So you need a link because I want to hear that story.
Well,
you need a link.
I went with white friends to see Sinners and Woman King.
Wait, I'm about to send you a link. Okay.
I want to hear that story.
No, I want to hear that story.
Send you a link right now.
Because I can't tell you how many borderline arguments. And I love Woman King. I love
Woman King.
Yeah, that Woman King was
love Woman.
Viola Davis, first of all, is like my new. She's not new, but she's like my favorite female actor. Mm-hmm. So she replaced Angela Bassett. She replaced Angela Bassett.
Hey, but Angela Bassett ain't went nowhere.
No, I know, but Angela Bassett is like 1A now. Like
right.
Viola Hill, Angela Hill. She ain't gone that far.
Don't let Angela hear you say that.
But when we talked about Woman King, the only thing, and especially colonizers, because y'all know I love Black Panther. So the only thing they could say is, see, Black people sold slaves too.
Right. And I love those conversations.
I know, right? Because Black for One, we already did
it. Right. And that was always the conversation. It was never an argument. They wanted it to be an argument, but I'm like, already knew that.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
These were people that they were in war with. They took them prisoner and they sold them because the white man was giving them shit.
Right. Yeah. Right. I mean, other than that, they probably gonna wind up dead anyways.
Right.
I was like, the whole, if you pay attention to the movie, the whole thing with Woman King is that she wanted to get away from doing that. Why are we selling our own people?
Right. Because that tribe, that village, he's like, when his brother was king, he was just selling to people and all that. He was all about the monies, right? And stuff like that. You know, what was the pitch to get some white people? Wait, what was the pitch to get some white people to see Woman King?
I think they just went out of curiosity.
That's a good question.
I mean,
and they saw that one thing. Like, look,
you still watching? I sent you a link to your Facebook Messenger.
But I think that the draw for a lot of white people to go see it was Viola Davis. You know what I mean? Because for one, How to Get Away with Murder, her TV show, that was across the board. You know what I mean? Everybody watched that. So I think that was the draw.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense. Yeah. But I think, like I say, paying attention to, and I mean, because I learned a lot from that movie too, right? And the fact that, you know, they had to try to protect their own people because another tribe did get all money hungry, and there's always going to be some people that's not doing the right thing in every situation, right?
Right.
And so that particular tribe was drinking the sauce. So they said they was gonna sell the people, and we're gonna kidnap folks from other tribes too and sell them folks, right? They're trying to get money.
Became a business for them.
Mm-hmm.
Like
exactly.
But you know, we're gonna talk about that later. But and that was the whole premise of the movie. First of all, to show that even in a male-dominated culture, that tribe respected their women that much that they could have a point Woman King. They always did have one.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And then her whole premise was, you know, this is why are we selling our own people?
Right. Right. Because it's not necessary. Right. And it's the same message that we try to tell Black folks today that drink the sauce and drink the Kool-Aid, because you don't have to do that. First of all, you're never going to belong doing that. They're not going to accept you. They're going to use you like they've been using the rest of us. They just find a different way to use you. and they're gonna placate and they're gonna slide to some ends, but in the essence, you fucking over your own people, right? If given the chance, they will fuck over you too.
Right. And they will eventually once your value ends, yeah.
Right, exactly. And all that. So even with artists and all that, when you're like, okay, I know you get in the bag, but like, why would you preach that to your own folks? Why would you say that to your own folks? Hey, preacher man, why would you sell that dream to your people like that?
Right.
Like these, but the issue even with that though, which I ain't going to go too deep because this is a church conversation, but it's the fact that people actually believe what they're saying.
Right.
You supposed to believe your bullshit, and then you spreading that bullshit along. And if you're an artist, you're spreading it along in music, right?
Right.
But I also realized, because they talk about Illuminati, right? And all that. Well, I started paying attention to words, and the root word of Illuminati is illuminate, right?
Right.
To enlighten, to show, right? I saying, so if in fact we have Illuminati up there, then it will make sense that there's messages in between here, but you better pay attention to how the message is laid out, right? Because the more I listen to music and the more I grow and the more I heal, I hear the messages. I was listening to stuff last night. Well, first of all, I was listening to stuff last night, and please forgive me, but a lot of Aretha was coming on, and I was like, Aretha music was sad, like. There was a lot of niggas fucking over her kind of shit. And it was I'm in love. And then it was like I'm a chain of fools. It was like, cause I never
know. Yep. And all we got was a reincarnation.
But he was fucking over me.
Was the reincarnation of Aretha Franklin was Mary J. Blige.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because she go on that same, in that same line. But going back to something you said earlier, Illuminati. When I did my Illuminati research, the original Illuminati group was a group of scientists who were at odds with the church.
See?
They were like, well, we hear what you're saying about that, but really what happened was that wasn't God putting his hand over the moon. It was an eclipse.
Right. Okay.
So they were at odds with the church, and what the Catholic Church did was had all of them killed.
Yeah.
Yep. Burned one dude in the middle.
Demonized that.
Yep.
The whole
exactly. Deal. Set one of them on fire in the middle of a fucking town. So So the Illuminati originally had a point. This make-believe bullshit.
Right, yeah.
He sold his soul to Illuminati.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I think that's a lot of propaganda because like I said, if, because again, if you listen to lyrics and listen to the meaning and the things, and when I went to that concert that when they brought me that ticket and all that, I remember like Joe was singing some of the songs that he had written, not necessarily that he recorded, right? And all that. And so one of them was Piece of My Love, right? And so he's singing it. He was like, you can have a piece of my love. He paused. He said, y'all listening to what y'all singing? He said, I know y'all jamming and stuff, but like, do you hear what he's I wrote the song.
Right.
Do you hear what, like he's trying to awaken people right there in the fucking concert.
Right.
He an old school artist, so these are old school people, right? And all that. He say, you hear? Y'all don't hear it. You can have a piece of my love. It's waiting for you, right? And the whole time I'm like, I hear you, Joe. I hear you. I beat that game already, right? And all that. And while sitting in there, because the music's soul child too, right? And so I'm listening to which one is it? I love you to tell you when your hair turn gray. Yeah. Right. Love don't change. That's what it is. I'm listening to the lyrics of that, right? And I'm jamming and all that. And then he said, just as long I love you when your hair turns gray. I still want you if you gain a little weight. What I feel for you will always be the same, just as long as your love don't change. That's a condition.
Right.
That's a condition.
Right.
The lyric before that said, because this love is truly unconditional, but it's not.
Mm-hmm.
If my love changed, then you're not feeling me no more. You rolling out, right?
Yep.
All right, there she go. Boom. Uh-oh. My love changed. Then
what's that? What's happening with you?
Yeah.
Okay. What's up?
What's that?
You got something in the background? What's happening in the background?
That's the podcast.
Oh, it's not us. It's a podcast. You got to turn that podcast on.
Oh, wait a minute. I got an echo.
It's because the thing is on while you're doing this, so it's kind of off.
Yeah.
You got it?
Turn your radio down.
Yeah, like turn your radio down. Same thing. Yeah.
Right. Turn your radio down. Turn your radio down.
Pretend you backing up and turn your radio down.
Just call 1-800-SOUL-VIEW.
Yeah. So like again, all those songs like you have to pay attention to what it's saying. Nay paid attention to she mentioned Chris Brown. Nay, if you watching, put that in there. The one of the songs right after him and Rihanna and all that stuff, and she calls it the gaslighting song because she was like, listen to this gaslight. You know, he trying to say this, and this, but he really saying this, and this. Like, what you telling her? Like, so, like, you got to pay attention to what you're listening to, what the lyrics of what you're saying is saying, right? Because words have power. And then we add on top of that power, the power of frequency and the power of the rhythm and the power of the harmony. And like, when music comes together perfectly, it moves you. That's why praise and worship works.
Yeah, well, yeah, because I've always said, like, any time I've watched any television show and it's it's a church show, like I would always be like, look at all that emotionalism. Yes, you know what I'm saying? Like I said they feeling that. You know what I mean? I said for real. I said somebody could walk up in there butt ass naked and go right in their purses and wallet to take all their fucking money. They ain't gonna know no different. But I remember when Dad pointed that out to me, like we was doing a party, and he was like, he said, "See how that music just take over?" I said, "Yeah, I do see it." You know what I'm saying? And it does. I mean, I can't say I've not been the victim of the same thing. Like Prince got a song. He got a song called oh man, I forgot the name. It's gonna come back to me in 5 minutes. But I was so engulfed in the melody, the rhythm, the sound, and of course, his voice is what it is. Right. So I was almost in tears. It wasn't shit going on with me. I was just fine. You know what I'm saying? I was just fine a minute ago.
Exactly.
But
think about them sitting in church, the drums and the sound, and I paid attention to that when I went to that concert too, right? Because it's not just it's the words, it's the sounds, they flickering lights, that overstimulating you. Right. So when I felt overstimulated, I shut it down. I told Nate that. I said, if you start feeling weird because them lights get to flickering, you close your eyes. Close your eyes, right? Yeah. Thank God hope ain't nobody in here got seizures and things.
They should have put a sign up.
right.
Put a sign up. But they do all the video games.
Yeah, they do it with everything. They do it in casinos.
Oh,
lights, sounds, all that stuff, keep it regulated. And then we went to a like arcade kind of place with all the games and stuff like that. Same sensations.
Yeah.
So I mean, those things tap into your psyche.
Right.
It makes you wanna do certain things.
Yep.
So it all, and they know what they're doing. That's what they talk about, frequency. They talk about all those things that come together. Now, do I think that the church does that on purpose? No, but y'all know because y'all been to church.
Hallelujah.
But you notice when things start to kind of slow down, how that drum will start.
Yeah. Yep.
Either that,
pull it back up.
Or that bloop bloop on that organ.
Yes.
I'm gonna give you that emphasis.
Right. Yeah, if the people aren't reacting, see, you ain't singing to somebody fall out.
Yep,
that's right.
So you gonna keep going. Right. You see what I'm saying? So there is a certain, I hate for lack of a better word, manipulation.
Yeah, right. I mean, but it is. Call it what it is.
To get that reaction.
Right. Because whether it's intentional and conscious or taught to them subconsciously, it's still manipulation. Right. Because in theology school and all that, like they're teaching that stuff. So they don't know any difference until they think critically themselves. Right.
Right.
I follow a former pastor that talks about that. And he's like, look, here's the thing. We all wake up during the process. But at that point,
you too far in.
Yeah.
You're in the juice. Yeah. Right?
You already dreaming about your mega church. You know?
Dreaming about your mega church. I built a 40 million member church. And now what I'm gonna do? Well, I gotta keep playing this game.
Exactly.
I gotta keep playing this game. Yeah. So even once they enlighten, he's like, they can't turn around at that point. It's a hard choice to turn around.
Right.
It's a hard choice.
Because I mean, I do it at my, when I'm DJing a gig.
Yeah.
If it's getting kind of flat and I got that one person out there on the dance floor, I just find out who that person is. And then I use my 5,438 watts of power and be like, hey, Richie, boy, y'all see Richie out there on that dance floor? Next thing you know, everybody out there. They like, and I turn Richard into the star of the night. You know what I'm saying?
He ain't gonna sit down at that point either.
Never again.
No. He can't.
Never again. Yeah, he's gonna be up all night.
Yeah, he's responsible for the crowd now.
That's right.
Exactly. But he gonna talk when he get home.
I wanted to touch on something that because I was listening to you guys. I guess I don't want to offend nobody's music taste, but
look,
I want to call it.
These are our opinions, and
this is my opinion.
Right.
That's right. And that's how you feel. That's how you feel.
But I'm thinking about the decline of lyrics, especially.
Oh yeah, we was getting to that. We're just gonna jump right in that though.
Right on time.
Because we're just gonna skip the schedule.
Yeah, the stuff that I ain't get no program.
The program be on the
I walk in the church, ain't nobody giving no program. but when I look at, and I'm kind of thinking to start, when Foxy Brown started and Lil Kim talking about
right,
she eating Fruit Loops while you watching cartoons while you eating ass out, stuff like that.
Right.
And how it's just
I forgot Foxy Brown saying bullshit like that.
Yeah, I had that Foxy Brown and I had that Lil Kim, and that was the sexual liberation,
right?
But
was it?
Right.
Yeah, but it really wasn't.
It was more like Ho Fest '99.
Now you
because when I was in it, I thought it was sexual liberation. Like,
right, exactly, and that's what they made us think.
But you just
and you know what wound up happening now after we've gotten all that sexual, and women's empowerment and all, and there's nothing wrong with that. I'm doing this to a certain degree. But now we've got podcasts where women, especially in the Black community, we hate each other.
Right, exactly.
I don't need you. I don't need no nigga. You know what I'm saying? Man, these bitches want everything. They want you want me to take you out to dinner, and you understand what I'm saying? Because all of that, I think, has funneled into what we see today, and that's another message. And now, on the flip side of that, there are some things that are starting to shift where I see that old hip hop is coming back. Did y'all see? Y'all heard Pusha T's new?
Oh hell yeah!
Right?
Yeah, I heard it today.
Oh joy! Right? And then LL came out with a new one. It goes so hard, but
that's my boo. That's my hip hop boo right there.
I saw him a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, we saw it.
Move on. Because I feel like every time he was on TV licking his lips, he was looking at me.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
But
women don't live in reality.
Y'all know LL was at them Diddy parties. So y'all fuck around and get that baby on if you want.
You don't talk about that, Brian.
I'll be sure was up there and ugly ass KRS-One. That's how good. But I'm finding that those tables are turning. However, they're not turning fast enough.
Right.
Yeah.
We have this all, but it was almost like they saw the music that Fight the Power, like we were talking about, and then it went into, before Fight the Power, it was, Unity and, with Curtis Mayfield and, of course, even them glorifying the hood, and the pushers and, I'm your pusher man and super high and all that stuff. And then it went into, Stevie Wonder, and I was talking about living for the city and talking about the condition of Black people. And then, and then of course we had the gospel music and all those things that came into play. And then it went from that to NWA and Public Enemy was like, fuck that.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Police. We not playing by the rules.
The power.
It's not getting us nowhere. Right. So after it swung into that, they was like, hold up. We got to get these niggas under control.
Right.
Because they doing too much. So now we need people singing about how much they don't need a man and how much he ain't paying child support and how much I can do it all on my own. Because and that was unfortunately the response to Babyface saying, I'll pay you rent.
And that's what I was about to say. Because there was that cooler generation there, right? Where they was like, I want to make love to you, girl.
There you go.
I want to
like you want me to, girl. All through the night. That's over.
But the thing is when they kicked Diddy out with all that money, they needed him to change the narrative. They needed somebody to change the narrative, and they needed somebody that was going to take the money and do the thing. Because
they needed a hip hop Judas.
Exactly. So because Southern rappers. And even NWA, they bragged on a fresh Dickie outfit and a car from 1969. Right. You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
And a lot of Southern rappers, UGK, everybody out of New Orleans, we stayed where we were. We didn't pretend to have more.
You was part of the community, but you was doing your thing.
Right. And then here come Diddy talking about Versace's and Bugatti. I didn't even know what the hell a Bugatti was. You know what I'm saying? So here he is talking about things that we don't. I'm like, Bugatti, that's a car. I looked the shit up and was like, I can't afford that. But they basically was like, if you niggas gonna keep rapping, we need to make money off of this shit. You know what I'm saying? So he changed the narrative. Niggas start buying $100 silk shirts. You know what I'm saying? And start living outside of their means. Right. Exactly. So when the narrative changed to that, once they saw they had that bit of control, and now, like I said before, a lot of these new youngsters, because they're influential, they're easier to buy and easier to manipulate, and we can write your music for you.
Right.
So now you go from having artists to performers, because nobody's creating. Nobody's creating shit. Niggas just performing the shit that they got. You know what I'm saying? They create their image. Whereas remember, artists was creating their own image. They were completely independent. And they went to labels like, you got to take me. This is me. You know what I'm saying? Now you could be a regular nerd dude, but once that label get their hands on you, next time they see you, look like a totally different person.
Makeup artists, you got a whole entourage of people to make
exactly.
Yep,
a shitload of strangers walking around with you every day.
Back then, you weren't even considered a rapper if you couldn't write your own lines. You had to be legit. On the block.
Somebody could write your R&B and all that stuff. If you rap, you had to write your own stuff, or you weren't considered a rapper.
Exactly.
No. And just like what Mo was talking about with Lil Kim and them, the reason why they wasn't, and the reason why Lil Kim and Foxy Brown was like the only two, because they were the only two that was running around on stage halfway naked, is because they had to compete. They had to compete with Queen Latifah. They had to compete with well, I can't remember her name. Y'all know who
Moni Love. It was a
show. They had to compete with all of them. And at that time, we was looking at
she was there too. She was there. She was at the concert.
Oh yeah,
she was at the concert too.
Damn.
She performed with Busta.
But just like Brian said, as it went on, this is what they want. They wanted the Foxy Browns, the Lil Kim. So the Foxy Browns, the Lil Kims started making more money.
That's right.
Than the Queen Latifahs and the MC Lights and all of them. So if you wanted to be a female and get in the business, you had to show your ass.
Yeah, you had to be naked. You had to talk about raunchy shit. You had to disrespect yourself. All the things, right? And that shows up in real life, like, because have you seen Lil' Kim, right? Mm-hmm. Because she objectified herself, and after that, the not loving myself shows because she did all the surgeries and all the things, and now she don't even look like herself, and she was a beautiful young lady, right? And all that, like what?
Freaking out,
and all that. So it didn't benefit you, sis. It just didn't.
Yeah, and what? Foxy Brown lost her voice.
She lost her voice.
Yeah.
She lost like the only one.
I think she lost her voice too, right? Did she go down?
I thought it was
she didn't lose her voice, right? She went down.
Yeah. So the only one
I knew it when
the only one that was there, but ended up she went to jail behind that bullshit. Remy Ma, she was the only one that was like in between the Lil' Kim and the Queen Latifah, but she kind of stayed true to herself.
Yeah,
which got her ass locked up.
Yeah, she was a hip hop artist.
Which got her ass locked up, but she was true to herself. She didn't run around funny ass naked and shit.
Right. But that music that you were talking about, Shawnnell and Brian, with the purple ties and the Bugattis and the Versace,
right?
That all played to the drug dealers.
That's right.
We didn't have that money, right?
Yeah.
So we kept them in the street. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And there was no music like Curtis Mayfield talking about how your drug dealing ways is messing with. You know, Gil Scott Heron's talking about heroin and crack. There's nothing to combat that. So they just kept on with that, and it was like, look, we getting money, and everybody, and that was during the time when nobody wanted to really work because everybody was good, fine at working at McDonald's because you got your little paycheck and you went, you got your little picks or whatever. No, it wasn't enough. So all of those things shifted us into a really dark place, and even though the music was sparkly. That time in the
was horrible.
Black people was very, very dark. And I think they created it that way. It all went together. And that's when we talk about systemic racism. That's a part of that, especially when we're not the ones funding the music that we're doing. Right.
That part.
Yeah. Shoot. And I mean, and I've always said, it's like there's a crap load of white rappers. Ain't none of them murdering the whole fucking neighborhood, though. You know what I mean? And I watched the interview Scott Storch, he's a producer. And he was talking about this Jewish kid that came around the NWA time. And he had, gangster lyrics and blah, blah, blah. And what happened was his neighborhood full of Jewish people came to his studio, bought out his contract, and then sat him down to the end of that contract. Dude never made a record.
Not doing that to our
exactly.
I mean, what was the name of that group? Them three white boys, wasn't it? Third Base. What was it?
Third Base.
Yeah, Third Base.
They're gonna be here in Syracuse, believe it or not, next month.
Yeah, Third Base was cool. They was down with Tribe and Dave and shit.
That speaks to your point. They wasn't killing nobody. They was
exactly right. Yeah, they was out of native tongues. Yeah, and all them cats was making just high quality ass hip hop. That's it.
Right.
But
so that kind of segues into what we're listening to now. God help us.
But that's why we need the Kendricks.
Oh, listen, y'all heard Drake's new one? What did I miss?
No, I didn't.
Oh my
God. Had the nerve to put out a new album.
I'm K-Dot for life. I don't listen to Drake.
Exactly. I don't even listen to him.
He is so hurt. He's talking about all people who, how could the people say they my friends and they went and listened to K-Dot? I can't believe
he about to be on his Kanye West shit.
That's pretty much then the fake abs. He's
I saw Joe Biden was talking about that.
But even now, when I think about what we're listening to now, I heard you guys talking about putting things in the right category, right? This ain't what we grew up on and what we was listening, even dancing to in the club,
right?
You know what I'm saying? This ain't that. This is just some booty shaking. Let me take it. And half the songs I've never heard a whole song. I just hear
That snippet.
I just hear the snippet on TikTok. And then they replay that thing, and then you would hear the whole song. You'd be like, "What is
what?"
Yeah. But I don't hate it. Like I love Cardi B's new song.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm about to pop out because it's hotter. I'm going outside.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
And that's also, I think all of it has its place, right?
There you go.
Because having a place for what it is, because it's like there's like we're talking about the soundtrack of life, right? Of your life. What's your soundtrack right now?
My soundtrack was Superfly because that's the time that I remember the most growing up with my siblings. So I was the youngest. It was that doom 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 that bass line.
I can hear it.
That's me walking through my little life.
I feel that. We always gotta have a soundtrack.
Dang, I'm about to go watch some 70s movies.
I know, I'm telling you. And I love when we get on this research stuff because last night I got stuck in this space of listening to old school stuff. I started a new playlist for my mama. I was like, memories of my mama, because some stuff will come on and I'm like, man, mom used to jam off of that, right? Yeah. That reminds me of my mama. So I was like, no, my mama gonna have a whole playlist. All right.
They swore they was doing something with that 2-step, but baby, it was
baby.
And did.
But those things were necessary. They're so necessary. But I also paid attention to my brother, like after he got divorced and was going through his thing, he was on that dirty, raunchy, whole ass hip hop, right?
he had to work it out.
I need a bitch, I need a hoe, I need a, and I was like, that's what you're listening to. He was like, yeah, but let me tell you why. And so I was like, okay, because that's what he's feeling at the time.
Right.
That's where he at right now in his life, right? In that time at least, and all that. And I can say the same thing. Like I said, we have a certain soundtrack for certain periods and all that. We have certain things we go to. I remember I knew Nay was angry when she was saying, when she had on, it's a Lil Wayne and somebody else. I'm gonna pick the world up and drop it on your fucking head. You remember that?
Well, I know that song.
It's a very
I don't really listen to Lil Wayne like that.
And it's an old one, because she was like 14 or something, right?
It's mad old because
it's an anger song, right?
To everything Lil Wayne used to do.
And I noticed for myself when I was pissed off, I would pull out some Mystical. I'm not that nigga to fuck with, right? Or you keep bumping me against the wall, and all that. So like, depending on what your mood is, you might go to a certain thing, you know, and all that, and I tie that in for mental health too, because I also often ask my clients, like, okay, what soothes you? Like, what is it that, they say I might be 24, but I know that's right. And I used to have to, because I'm always like, what are you listening to? Especially black people. You're into music. Most of us are. What are you feeding yourself? Right. So I had to tell that to Nay when she would be upset and be angry. Cool. You want something that resonates with you? Cool. Like, bust that shit out. I'm gonna drop the motherfucking world on your head, bitches, and all that. But you gonna stay in that space because you keep listening to that, then you keep feeding that, right?
Right.
Are you ready to feel better now? Switch that shit up. Here's some India. Here's some India, there's some neo soul for you, some enlightenment, some calm yourself down, love yourself, right? So whatever it is that you're feeding that emotion with that music, right? So we got to be more careful, because I said when Lil' Kim was doing her thing, I was in a rebellious state. I had gotten my heart broken and and all that, and I'm like, fuck these niggas, right?
Is that when you dyed your hair blonde?
Yeah, that's when I dyed my hair blonde. Yeah. You remember my moments,
yeah.
My daughter's calling it my lesbian phase because I was dressing like it. I experimented then, and stuff like that. So like, that was a rough time, and my music reflected that, right. And so as I started coming out of that, my music started to change too, right? When I started listening to my D'Angelo, Chico DeBarge used to be my one back then too.
Yes,
But
I want to ask you, Shawnnell, since you've been doing your therapy and helping your clients, there was a span of time, I want to say, this is in Doobie's lifetime, probably from the age of his 22 to about 25, where the music got really, really dark.
dark.
And most of these kids were like suicidal.
Right.
A lot of the artists that were making this music ended up committing suicide. Did you find that there was that something that was happening?
That was correlated. Yeah, that's absolutely correlated. That's why I said I think the music is influential for everybody. And no, that don't matter whatever genre you listen to, right? You know, because you start to feed the emotion that's present, which is cool for a moment, right? Because I had one client, I was like, "What are you listening to?" She told me about it. We listened to it, and I was like, "Okay, I can see how that resonates with what you're feeling like, and all that." But every week, y'all, I was like, "So when you gonna stop feeding that monster?"
Right.
And it caused me to create a playlist of empowerment, and it got every genre on there. You know, they got some Christian music on there, they got some everything on there, but all of the words, I made sure the words were right. You know, that the words have to be empowering. They can't be "you stole my husband." They can't be, you know, fucking.
So no country song.
None of that, right? No country.
Unless you listening to where them fans at.
I want to talk about that song.
I know you sick of that damn song.
I'm telling you.
But I started to I hooked up with that. I was like, hey, go hit this playlist, pick what you like, you know, put it on your own list or whatever it is. But you need to start feeding the right things. And in a matter of 4 weeks, she did start feeling better.
Right.
Didn't want to listen to us. She was like, no, like, that's pretty cool. I never heard of some of these people. And I was like, yeah, because you need positive words. You need words of affirmation. And when we can't give it to ourselves, we got to find it somewhere.
Yeah.
Right. And so the music helps with that. The music helps to heal. It can heal. Our music heals.
Yes.
Right.
Music for healing.
And that's why majority, like my main music is jazz. One, because I don't like people telling me what to do. So in jazz, ain't nobody saying shit.
Ain't nobody saying shit.
Ain't nobody saying shit.
But it's still speaking to you though.
Yeah. Most def. Because I know when I'm in a negative space, I'm on my UGK, my Project Pat. It's them cats. But I love that Project Pat. All of them. You on that twanky. But that's and my A-Ball and MJG, but it's not. See, I'm not trying to stay mad. I'm just trying to feel emboldened. Yeah, you know what I mean. So it kind of give me that 2-1 vibe thing, and when I'm going through something, it reminds me, yo, I'm not by myself. There's a crap load of people somewhere else that give a damn if I fall off the planet or the earth. So I don't, because I'm not gonna stay in no negative space. I can't. I ain't got no time for that shit. And so it's that I jump up out of that, and even from that emboldened moment, the thought process is not negative. The thought process is, man, boy, we used to do this, we used to do that, and life was simple. I ain't give a damn about as much shit as I give a damn about now. You know what I'm saying? So it's just that. It's a way you could use it, because music itself is useful as shit. You know what I'm saying? It's used like when I'm at work, people be like, man, you got a cool walk. I say, yeah, because every time I'm walking around, I'm singing "Staying Alive" by the Beat. You know what I'm saying? And they thought I was playing, but I was like, no. I said, I really that's what's in my head when I'm walking. I said, so that rhythm, that groove, that's what you see.
You watching it. You watching it, right?
Exactly.
Right. I wouldn't have been able to stay in the gym had it not been for music, because exercise is boring. I don't want to do it. I would go in the gym every day, and I ain't start with so many minutes. How many songs? So I got 2 songs every day. I went in there. I added a fucking song to that playlist and all that. And I'm walking to the rhythm of the music. I don't even care what the things say. I don't care about nothing else. I'm walking to the rhythm and all that. And I made it up to 45-50 minutes on that easy after that, because I was focused in my head. I was walking the runway. You know what I'm saying?
But look at here. We got to hear this story about the good people, them good folk at
them people that got mad.
That's why we sent you the link. We sent you the link. Talk about music.
I know, right? Story. Well, I want to go see. Well, there's actually 3. So I don't know if you guys have ever seen Hamilton. Have you seen Hamilton?
Yes, I didn't finish watching it, but I just started watching it.
Hamilton is really a rap battle.
It's a yeah.
Oh.
It is. It's a rap battle, but it's done on
Broadway style
and it's done like in Congress, right?
Okay.
And if you don't understand that,
right,
you won't know how
get
to
it.
Okay.
So, a friend of mine took me to see Hamilton as a gift to me because she knew I wanted to see Hamilton. And in the sea of all the people, there was 5 of us in there because this place it's not predominantly white, but that's who goes to see everything. That's
right.
Right.
So, when you're acting and stuff, there's a certain momentum you got to get, right?
Right.
They could not get it because the people that were watching it didn't understand that this was a rap battle, and they wasn't doing ooh in the right places, like I'm sitting there going ooh, and they're just like,
what's going on here? What's going on
over there?
I don't understand.
Right, and I left there so unfulfilled because it's not just the play. It's the experience, right?
Right.
So I got to go see it again, but I'm gonna have to invite.
It's on Disney Plus.
No, you gotta.
Yeah, I know you gotta see it. It ain't never came to Dallas, so I gotta watch it on Disney Plus.
Well, this is New York. They try to make everything Broadway. It was so flat. But I was like, you know what? This is one experience. So same friend was like, I want to go see The Woman King. Let's go see The Woman King. So we go see The Woman King.
That's a brave friend.
Man, so brave.
I'm gonna try it again. Damn it.
It was the parts that we would think were funny.
Right.
They didn't get it. The parts that we would think was like serious, like what? That's the parts that they laughed at.
What the fuck?
Yes.
Shit. Damn.
Same thing with Wakanda. Now, when Wakanda came out, went with because I don't have a lot of
I did.
I know.
Wakanda, same thing. When she was talking about, well, look who's in chains now. I thought that was hilarious. Nobody laughed there with me.
Yep.
Because that was the funny part, right?
Yeah, it's funny.
They didn't understand why he was pretty much the only white person that was, and they were treating him so badly. They didn't get it. And I was like,
that is so wild.
For one, they need to go back and watch Black Panther. Then they can understand the joke at the end when she talked about him, she got his ass out the back of that van.
That's the part they didn't get
it.
And not just that person, but the whole theater besides the 7 black people. So anyway, Sinners, same thing. They didn't understand, well, what's with all the music? Is this a musical? It was awful.
And look, I was talking about that when we was talking about Sinners. I was reading these reviews, and it was a lot of white people. So I'm curious, and it's like I'm not gonna say nothing. I'm just gonna read. But it was a lot of positive reviews. But they was talking about it like they watched an episode of Seinfeld. Yeah, they was talking about it. It was like, oh, the movie was great. The acting was awesome. It was just regular. I'm like, wow, that's so crazy. Like y'all didn't get none of the stuff. None of the depth.
Them to the picnic and how they were things that we have, and none of that resonated.
Right, and they went to comparing it to other vampire movies.
That's what
it was like, oh, this was better than such and such or such. You know what I'm saying? Or like that they use old school vampire rules. I mean, majority of the comments were positive comments, but I'm like, damn, y'all really.
Because I feel like if they would have gotten it, they would have been like, oh, we understand, why we. But no.
But then they would have had to deal with the white guilt,
and they're not.
They're not doing it. They don't want to do that.
It's hard to understand when you haven't been oppressed.
Right.
Yeah, that's true.
Irish people could understand where the Irish vampire was coming from.
Right.
Because Irish people have been oppressed for hundreds of years.
Right.
The white people in there, the same reason why they don't get the colonizer joke.
Right.
Fury called him a colonizer when he got to Wakanda.
Yeah, they always refer to him.
And the reason why we call him
as colonizer.
Because y'all go in, y'all colonize shit that don't belong to y'all. Yeah. It's just like this. I'm gonna use a white person's show, Yellowstone. They could never. A lot of my friends who watch Yellowstone could never understand why Rainwater, the tribal president, was so upset. Well, he was upset because you colonizers came to the West, killed all his people, took their land, and then turned around and sold it to somebody else. And then gave them the most barren part of the land and said, hey, we're sorry. Here's the raggly piece.
Yeah, work that shit.
Yeah.
But that's because
your whole shirt, it go to pocket.
But that's because white people, they are well familiarized with America's story.
Yes.
Avoid America's history like the freaking plague. So and that's why I don't get it. Because I remember talking to people about Avatar when it came out. Nope, the graphics were awesome. I said, but you didn't see what was happening. I said these people was just doing their own shit.
Y'all keep bringing these movies up, and I've seen all of these movies.
And I'm like, so you didn't get it? No, I mean, get what? But it was a great movie.
Yeah, no. And of course, they didn't understand. Well, where are the Mexicans? I was like,
what?
What? They know, everybody's
not just throwing people in for good measure.
Listen, they did anyway. So the where it lands flat for me was that after a movie like that, you have to have some discourse.
Right.
Nothing. Because and that's what I say. I just especially when I'm trying to, how we do. We say to the end because something gonna pop off. You can't read credits.
Yeah, Marvel got us like that. Not
I know.
I was so in awe after I was so in awe after sentence. I forgot that I was in a Marvel movie and I needed to wait because I was just sitting in my seat like that. Everybody leaving. I was just sitting there. I wasn't thinking about the end. I was just like, I gotta come back and do that again. That's all I knew.
I was like post-credit scene.
You couldn't wait.
And I'm waiting on that shit.
I got home and was like, damn, we didn't stay to the end.
But if you want to really, I don't know, if you have some white folks that you wouldn't mind go to one of our movies with the white person. It is a totally different. It's you're gonna leave with like you just had a flat soda. I promise you.
Well, no, I know, and like they just said just now, we saw it the last time at Cedar Park, and it was drastically different. That's mostly white people there. When we first saw it, was in Houston, and so we know because we saw it 3 times, right? And so we saw it locally, and then we saw it in Houston first, then we saw it at Cedar Park, and then I think we went to San Antonio so we could see it on the IMAX screen. When I tell you the whole vibe was in Houston, it's mostly black folk. Like the vibe was different. Yeah, it was different, right? Yeah. And all that. But around the white people, it was just like, oh, that was a good movie.
It's a great movie.
Yeah, great movie. That Johnny Coogler, it's Ryan Coogler, bitch.
But realize, but think about it.
How they acted in certain areas, though, because like when all the Ku Klux Klan folks got annihilated, at the end, we thought that was funny and great. Like, y'all get them to begin with. And white people was mad. They was angry about it. Like, what you said, not Johnny Coogler.
Yes, Johnny
Coogler.
Yeah. But if you think about it, even movies that they make about white people, Titanic has a story.
Right.
If you pay attention.
But is it a true story, though?
No, actually, you think about it.
I'm not asking. I know.
Titanic showed the divide between rich white people and poor white people.
Right.
Which they'll always say that's the only reason why Trump is in office.
Well,
the poor white people want to be like rich white people. So they're never going to be like rich because rich white people don't just hate black people. They hate poor white people too.
Well, you know what? Be that as it may, The thing about white people, period, is they can identify anywhere they want to.
Yeah. I mean, you could be a poor white person and identify as a rich white person.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And I just saw just now they was talking about how Irish, it was like, when did Irish people become white?
From white.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I was
watching the thing about that.
They were the Black Irish.
And they were called the Black Irish.
Black Irish.
You know?
And they said no Irish, no dogs.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And it was black people that helped them get their come up.
In America, you can identify as white.
Right.
Well,
as long as you're not black.
Right. The Irish and the black kind of getting a little too chummy.
Right.
Yeah.
So in order, you gotta have somebody to blame.
Keep us down. Yeah.
Same thing.
You have to invite them into the white side.
Yeah. Right? Same thing they did with the Mexicans.
Same thing.
Same thing. And the Asians.
And now they kicking them to the curb.
Right.
Yeah.
Then it's
when I feel like
India. So like it's same concept. Like the proximity.
Yeah. Proximity. Yes.
Right. Yeah, and that's all it is. I mean,
when I feel like I need you, you're white.
Yeah.
When I don't need you anymore,
you whatever ethnicity that you are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I needed you. Perfect example. I needed you Spanish people to get in office.
Yeah.
Come on.
So y'all were technically white.
Right.
Once I got in the office, ICE, go get them.
We're gonna deport them. They're eating dogs and cats. They're just eating all the dogs. I wish they would eat my damn dogs.
Leave that dog alone.
For real.
Y'all heard that motherfucker barking earlier. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. Mo, you need a dog, Mo. That's what you need in your life. Yeah.
You don't need another dog.
Bark. Let you know somebody breaking in.
I'm getting fish.
So
I should have went there.
What's your happy song?
Your happy song.
Happy song?
My happy song?
Yeah, what's your happy song?
When you're feeling good, what you go play? Or what genre do you stick to?
What do I play? I usually stick to, for my happy songs, it's gonna probably be some type of neo soul.
Yeah.
Or something that's, kind of upbeat. There was a time when, actually, honestly, my happy music is really trap music because I'm a gangster.
You gotta be.
Hey.
Okay.
My favorite word. Yeah. So, in my soul,
you the softest gangster I know.
You can't be smart and be a gangster.
Yes, you can be smart and be a gangster. Yes. Many gangsters, most gangsters are smart.
We are.
Yeah. Real gangsters, not
ugly. Yeah, real gangsters are smart.
All I want is bloody meat. That's all I'm
You know what my happy song is? It's not a song.
Fred, what's your happy song?
It's not a song. It's brass Mardi Gras music.
Really? Okay. I like that.
Really?
Mardi Gras music.
Yeah.
That's dope.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
I can see that. I can feel that.
Mine would be any up tempo thing by Frankie Beverly, Earth, Fire, Al Green all day. But on that, I can't stand goddamn Mardi Gras music, and I love it now. No, I love it now. But pre-Katrina, remember I used to complain every while, like, here we go, gotta listen to all this goddamn Mardi Gras music. But because it once it was Mardi Gras season, that was it. The shit was just like all day. I was like, man, goddamn, Now I find myself just playing.
I felt like that. Like it was all Christmas music. I'm like, where's the R&B?
Oh yeah, nah.
Then I would find my R&B kind of Christmas music. Like you got to play Temptations Christmas music, or you got to play Black folk Christmas music. But I didn't want to hear none of the other stuff.
It was steamy. But I mean, now I love it because all of that stuff is not at my disposal like that. But my happy music is that Frankie Beverly, Earth, Wind and Fire and stuff. I feel adult, immature.
I feel like a grown.
I defer to T.I.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I ain't gonna lie. Yeah. I can see that.
I mean, anything to make you get a
Something.
Get your shoulder leaning. I think it.
Yeah.
Now, I will say this. If I do something, go ahead.
Now I can say what she like.
Go now.
All right, fine. I like my neo soul and stuff too, but that's more of my soothing.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I need to, and stuff like that. But I do like an up tempo R&B or something like that. Something I can dance to and all that, or something I can sing to because I enjoy singing so much.
I was about to ask you, are you still singing?
Yeah. I got the work on my throat and all that, but because I ain't been practicing and all that. But I got to get my lungs and my throat back together because I need to get back. I miss it.
We must sing. We must.
Yeah, because me and the girls were talking about that with the music thing too. Is that one? And this is my next question. Your favorite instrument, because I love percussion, I love horns, and I love the voice as an instrument, right? And so I tend to, when I'm looking to feel better or I'm feeling happy, I look for that. So the Mardi Gras music, I feel that's percussion and horns, right? Yeah. Anything New Orleans is percussion and horns, right? And stuff like that. And like there's a run. It's in a lot of music now, but it's in one of Jill Scott's song, and it's in and I think I asked y'all about this years ago. And it's also in Outkast, one of Outkast songs. But it's wait.
Oh yeah. I
need to know who the original of that is. I need to find the original.
You know what?
I know Brian knows it because he played it. Oh,
yeah, I did find it.
I need you.
I'm gonna send it to you.
I need that original one. That one fuels my soul. I don't know what it is about it. Right? When I went to Southern, I hung out with the band. I was out there watching the band at band practice because I love the horns and I love the percussion,
right,
and all that. So that moves my soul and my spirit, And so anything I'm moving toward as far as my happy place or whatever, give me that. Give me something I can powerhouse sing.
Right.
I can belt out, right? Because we also realize we use music in this house to deal with that them heavy feelings and all that when they is upset or she put some Jasmine Sullivan on. She put something on and she can powerhouse it out. And I was like, because as Black people, we don't get to yell and scream.
Right. We're not supposed to.
We're not supposed to. Right.
You have to be safe, Negro.
It scares people.
It scares people. But I can sing. I can sing at the top of my lungs at the fullest power, and it has the same effect of getting that energy out of my body. But it's not threatening. It's not threatening. People like, girl, sing, girl, sing that song. Right. So that's my stuff. What's your favorite instruments?
My favorite instrument would be the bass.
Bass guitar. Instrument.
Oh, because it's the groove.
It is.
It's the groove, man. It's like I make all, I'll play something on my deck and I got stems so I could pull everything out. And I ran the bass line for Isley Brothers. Yeah, and just that bass line, it's the rhythm because it's the ride. You know what I mean? Even when I was writing more, I'm not writing as much. I wrote to the bass line. You know what I'm saying? That's why my my rhyme delivery kind of it rolled like that. So I always wrote to the bass line because that's the groove.
I like that. Yeah, that's funky.
It is funky. God damn it, it's funky. I want to learn that slap bass.
What's that who was that created slap bass? What is his name?
The dude used to rock with Prince.
Used to rock with Prince. It was Prince.
Graham. Billy Graham. Billy Graham. That mother be flexing. Because the name of his band was Graham Station.
Right.
Right.
I that's so I ain't trying to copy, but I ain't copying off of you.
I went first.
People can like an instrument.
that bass line, that does it really does. It does it because it's that heavy feeling.
Yep.
Yeah, it is.
When I was at the after party at the concert, there was a DJ there. God help us. It was all highs. And when I tell you that it was like the entire night they were screaming.
Yep.
And I was like, because the concert was over, so he was just playing music, and I was like, oh, and I'm right by the speakers because that's where I be. But I'm like, please give me some depth. Just give me a little.
Right.
And that's when I was. It's that feeling. It kind of bangs you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. When I went to before COVID hit. I went to Jill Scott. She came here, and she paused and like, and when you grooving, right, and all that, and she was like, "This is my bass player," and she had him hit the thing or whatever. She was like, "Be quiet, hold up, ladies. I need you to pay attention to this." And she had him hit the thing, and she was like, "You feel that?" I was like, "Yes, I do." Because you can feel that.
You can
in all the places.
It does. It gives you
all the places.
Yeah, it does. It gives you that. It fills that space.
Yeah. And again, that's the power of rhythm. That's the power of music. Like you can feel it on the inside.
Like beloved on your inside part.
Exactly. Yeah.
But I don't know. As far as favorite, I like them all. I'm just be honest with you. You're
a musician, Fred. So
I was in. In my early teens, I was into 30s, 40s, 50s big band music.
I love big band.
Yes.
Harlem Nights is one of my favorite movies for the score. That's what got me in the band. If you want to see me get excited, let a good marching band come down the street.
I feel you. I feel you. I can feel that. I feel
like when all there was a time when they were using like FAMU and they were using in the studio.
Yeah,
that was a good time.
Absolutely.
Yeah, those you're right. Now those instruments do create a feeling.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Really not just the melody that they play,
right?
The instrument that they use, and I know that you do all types of therapy, but even in music therapy,
yes,
there's a certain thing or a certain, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know this much about it, but I am aware.
No, but it's very accurate. Yeah, because I don't specifically do music therapy. I use music in therapy, and I don't do music therapy. But you're right. Like there's certain things for certain,
right?
Like how that's how the therapy works,
right?
Like during parade season. When you're coming over underneath the Claiborne Bridge.
Yes.
I bet you. Oh my God.
That's the best sound ever.
That was like, you talking about dopamine high. If you had a good band.
Yes.
We used to come underneath that bridge and be killing it. Like Southern
the acoustics was
under the bridge,
under them.
Behind us, we would stop playing. We would stop playing so we could hear them.
That. Yeah. Yeah. And what I love about us too, because there's healthy competition between things.
Yeah.
But everybody, we all love all of it.
Yeah.
Right.
I ain't come here to see nobody win or lose. I came here to just hear everybody.
Yeah, everybody. Yeah.
Right. I want to see who gonna step it up, who gonna take it up higher, and all that. Like, and that's what you were waiting on for Mardi Gras too. When you're watching the parades, the floats are great, bro. Throw me something mystical. Where the band at?
No, everybody.
Ain't all rolling down. Where the
people came down for the band.
Right.
That was our Super Bowl.
That was our
parade season.
Yeah.
Who else in the world has a parade season?
Come on, bro.
Go, what's parade season? I was like, I can't explain it to you, bro. You just gotta be from New Orleans.
You just gotta experience it.
The best HBCU experience I ever had was the Battle of the Bands that they have now every August in Houston.
Yeah, I've seen the YouTubes. Them joints do get off.
Nice.
They do get off. Yeah, man, they go off.
You talk If you want
about it, make me want to hear
it. Black excellence.
Yeah,
that's Black excellence. All right,
that's Black excellence.
Yeah, because I don't know what band it was, but
State, North Carolina, A&T, Bethune-Cookman. I'm talking about just that, and then you meet the most intelligent Black people in the world there who are not gatekeeping, willing to share everything. You need a boot. We need a boot. We need to do a podcast from the bad or the bad.
Bet. You got that.
Because I seen this band, these mugs ran a bunch of Sega game theme songs. And it was tight because they started it off. You know how the Sega used to come out, Sega. Yeah. They started like that. And I was like, why that shit sound like Sega? And then they just ran through a bunch of.
I think that was North Carolina and
yeah. They just ran through a bunch of games from the Sega area. I was like, man, that shit was tight, man. But
wow.
But when you're talking about the bands and being in New Orleans, I was thinking about how we have the funeral processions and how in the beginning when we're on our way in, how they play that drag music.
Yeah.
And as soon as we getting ready to move that casket, how we take out.
Turn up.
And you turn up.
You mourn and then you celebrate their life.
Right. That just reminded me of that shift in feelings.
Yes.
And how it takes you from one place to another and how music affects us.
Right. I've had to explain that to my colonizing friends because they didn't understand it. Why all these people? Why they doing all that?
They ain't no job.
They just nobody from my job watches this podcast.
I'm gonna hire you, Fred. That's right.
That's what they tell you. They don't watch it. I guarantee they know it's there.
And like I explained, it's like in New Orleans, when people pass away, we really don't want you, and I think everybody should feel like that.
Yeah.
Don't just sit there and just
don't cry.
Dwell on the fact that I'm dead.
Yeah.
I was gonna die eventually. That's the only one thing that I can 100% guarantee that's gonna happen.
Yeah.
You're gonna die.
You're gonna die. Right.
Don't think about that. It's like the mourning part is when you hear the slow music and everybody walking. We're celebrating their life after we bury.
Right. We said
we celebrate.
Exactly.
I'm like, it's not that we don't care and we just have this party because we're gonna get the inheritance money. Yeah. No, we celebrating their life.
Ain't nobody got no inheritance money.
We got nobody got no money.
We got GoFundMes and aunties with good jobs.
Yes,
we had to sell a lot of plates to get these
plates. Thank you. I use that in therapy too when I'm helping people with their grief or whatever. It's like I see grief just like that. You're gonna have this period where you're sad that they're gone and you're missing the everyday with them and so on and so forth. But I feel like the grieving shifts because you never stop missing your person, right? And all that. But it shifts from feeling sad to when you think about those moments and all that, you're happy. You're excited. You're like, man, that was cool, right? Yeah. And all that. So, all right, quick shift. Since we're in New Orleans right now and with this conversation, let's talk about Essence.
Oh, God.
God damn. Boy, let me tell you something. What the hell? And I'm only going off YouTube and interviews, people talking about it. And Stephanie Mills wrote this long ass damn letter going off, but very, very professionally, of course, but going off. And they sold it to. I meant to look up who bought it. I
think they're Nigerian.
Nigerian, I think.
Okay.
Yeah,
but they're Nigerian from Kenya and Nigeria. His name is Ben, I think.
Let me see.
Ben and Naima. But these guys.
Why did they? I mean, why did Essence sell it? And
Essence
damn, I was hoping it was for something more realistic. Damn.
Yeah,
for paper and coins.
I said Essence Ventures. Is that the company?
Essence Ventures, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, they sold it to them, and they just dismantled the entire spirit.
Right. And that's what I heard. It went from being something particular into something generic.
Right.
You know?
And the sad thing, and I mean, it just goes, and I try to explain this to people, and people get all upset and then their feelings about it, but everybody ain't black like us.
Right.
You know
and I think trying to explain that to people as well, like the African American person, the Black African American person, like again, we're all part of the African diaspora, right? Yes. And all that, but we have a different experience, right? We have our own culture. Yes. Because we had to create it. We had to create our own culture, right? And so, and that's different from anything and anybody else experiences and all that. So, like, I respect everyone from the motherland. I respect everyone from Haiti. I like all of the other areas where they are chocolate folks, right? And all that. But you have to, like, we have a different thing. Like
different experience.
Different. Like, like, so for that lady stand on stage to say the originals are back, that's offensive. This was our thing, and our culture. How we learned to celebrate and brought all our people together. This is where I spent our money on us, like in our city. And then you just
and it's because it's a two-sided coin to that too. Because it's not just that it's African American culture. It's New Orleans culture.
It's New Orleans culture.
You know what I'm saying? So you you just did a whole nother thing. You know what I mean? Because this not Nigeria. You know? What the hell is TD doing? Why is she letting this shit happen? Oh my God.
Right.
Yeah, man. I saw that bit.
Do what it do, and doing something for Nigeria within the spectrum of what was already happening, right? It's like, say like Nigeria gets a spotlight because we want to celebrate them or something like that. I can see them doing something like that, but don't take the whole spirit of the whole thing away.
Right.
It's like you're a guest star,
this
right?
morning, you know what I mean? With that, and I was like, what the hell is this?
But you know who gonna feel it? New Orleans. Because that's a money maker.
They said it wasn't nearly as many. It was not nearly as packed as you could find parking and everything. It wasn't like, it was just like they were having a conference. It wasn't the same. And mainly because they included Target. And we not.
Oh, they included Target.
Oh, you see? So it's a money thing. It's a money thing.
They include Target. So when people was like, oh, y'all think we playing with Target? We not.
Oh, we not playing with them.
There was a lot of and the quality. I read Stephanie Mills's letter as well, and the quality, the sound, the spirit, the feeling, and when they're trying to make money out from something, and it's not in the spirit of it, and it's not the history of it. You know what I'm saying? How New Orleans does stuff. They cut corners. So the sound was bad. All kind of stuff was going on.
I heard the schedule was off.
Somebody said they had a jollof rice and some New Orleans meal cook-off to see which was better. That's two totally different.
Hell? What did they do? 1812?
Michael Jackson and Prince. It's two different things.
Yeah, it's like jollof rice and dirty rice. I don't know what they did, but it was some kind of contest that they pit one against the other to see which one was better. But that's like me saying, potato salad against red beans and rice. That's not even.
Yeah, it's not even a same meal, right?
You know what I'm saying? I didn't, and so because they didn't understand, and obviously they did not do their research.
Right.
They didn't understand.
They didn't care to.
The spirit and the purpose of the fest.
Right.
They missed the market. Not to mention that I read somebody did a whole piece on it that these two guys are scammers. So
and I did. Yeah, I heard that. Yep.
That they scammed like $4 million from this company. It's a whole write-up. I'll send it to you so you can
send it to me. Please send it to me so I can read
that. But yeah, it was really from what I understand, it was very disappointing.
Yeah.
From what I saw on that video this morning, I was and it's weird. But I was kind of like physically hurt. I was like,
oh, that's what I was gonna tell you. I was just about to say that,
like,
Fred.
This was our thing. This was our thing. As long as I've been alive, Essence has been
the thing
in New Orleans. As much as I used to complain sometimes, like, why Maze always got to close out Essence. But you know what?
When Maze stopped closing out Essence, you was like disappointed, wasn't
you? Yeah, I was like, what the hell? Maze always close out Essence. It was New Orleans after that. Yeah, it was a New Orleans thing. Like, I remember I used to go to the I used to sometimes go to the main concert, but the little I forgot what they call it.
The little seminars and all that on the side.
Yeah. They had the little concerts in the little clubs in the French Quarter and stuff. Right. Those used to be fire.
Oh yeah.
Because you used to have, sometimes you have big time artists in there, or you have artists you ain't never heard of before in that Super Lounge.
Right.
Yeah. You have artists in there.
Super Lounge there. Oh my God, it was so good. It was so many things.
Yeah.
So many.
I don't think that they do that anymore, though. I don't think
the Super Lounge.
Yeah. Well, first of all, who gonna perform now? So
exactly.
The TikTok turn gonna come and perform.
You know what? And that's what it's gonna turn into.
That's what it's gonna turn into.
That's
what it was this time. There was a lot of content creators and very few artists.
Oh my God.
That's crazy. That's
and that's not the point.
I'm trying to figure out, why is Burna Boy? I don't know if Burna Boy was there, but I don't know. But I think I know one of his songs if you play it for me.
Right.
But a lot of the, I don't mind the African artists and that music, but that's not the place for it.
But that's not the
place. They took over.
Put them in the Super Lounge. Put them in the Super Lounge.
And that's why I said you could have had a taste of Africa in the place, but don't put the whole essence of Essence.
Right.
I wonder what they're gonna do next year. That's gonna be interesting.
Well, ain't nobody going. Master P said this time was the last time he performed.
Well, what's her name?
Who?
Mia X.
Yeah.
She was supposed to perform, and she said, "Nah, I ain't going."
Yep. Stayed at home and watched Law and Order.
She put out an apology. She said they acted like I should have been grateful that they invited me to do this. She said they weren't
in her city.
Get the fuck out.
And so they wasn't talking about. They ain't talk about no money. She said wasn't no rehearsal scheduled. Nothing. She got nothing. And she was like, so I'm not going to be there.
That's so crazy.
And Essence used to always invite the local artists.
Yeah.
You in New Orleans, bro. Come on now.
The local artists are going to play, like you say, whether it's on big stage or whether it's in the Super Lounge, they're going to be there. Right.
Yeah,
and even the stuff for the conferences, I was telling them, somebody told me that how all the stuff in the like they used to have all the different vendors and all that stuff in the
they said they didn't even have the vendors like they used to
and all that. They said the vendors that they did have, they were trying to charge them to get in.
Yeah. So they messed this up. They
you know what that was? That was niggas doing nigga shit. And you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
It was black people doing black people shit at first.
Yeah.
Now it's just niggas
doing
you know what I'm saying? Because we can be held accountable too.
Absolutely.
Not us. Not us, but them.
Right.
Right. Make that clear.
So was Essence the magazine ever connected? Wasn't it at one?
Yes, it was. It was initially, and what?
Whoever owns Essence magazine, I think, like does all the things.
Johnson girl, Beverly Johnson. What's
the tall black lady looked like she used to play. Yep. Had the big ass forehead, looked like she used to play basketball.
She's been gone for a few years.
So even in that, you got to understand what the purpose of Essence magazine was.
That's right.
Jet,
Ebony, all that's our stuff. Again, you wouldn't give us ours. Y'all didn't want us in y'all shit. We created our own shit for us. And then y'all again systemically and systematically destroy everything.
Yeah.
So now from what I hear, the Africans are saying that African Americans are being xenophobic because we're trying to.
I figured that was gonna come up. I figured that was gonna come up, and that's why I said, like, especially in the climate that we are in now, where there should be, we got to get the whole to unity in order to win the war that we are in, and all that, and it's still not. That's gonna cause more divide.
But they don't want that, and like I said,
that's why it's strategic.
Yep, there are little things that happen because in Africa they starting to. They doing
it.
They counting up, and they like, you know what? If they don't want y'all there, there's a place for y'all here.
Yeah, right. So that's what they're trying to destroy that relationship. They're trying to destroy that relationship.
The powers that be, whoever say they, who the hell is they?
Right.
The powers that be.
What I do like about somebody I saw on TikTok talking about it and all that, and he said, so I figured I would look up who coordinated all the things and went on the website because he was like, they had to be lying, right? And because again, owned by a Nigerian person or whatever and all that.
Remember,
but all the staff is like they white folks and other folks, right, and stuff like that. So there's not African Americans on the planning committees and all that. They got, when you see the picture of all of them, if you look it up, they got a couple of little tokens in there, and that's it.
Wow.
But I'm not surprised.
Yep. Yeah, it's no shocker. Just very disappointing.
Disappointing still.
Very disappointing.
Yeah, trying to cash in on that black dollar. They figured we wasn't.
But that's the whole.
We just gonna show up because it was Essence. No, the people
and that's what I'm saying.
The Essence for a reason.
And that's the part that pisses me off.
And that's but that's the thing, when the colonizer, you know what I mean, does a black thing, they don't understand why we do what we do
a thing.
So it's like if we make it kind of look like the thing, they just gonna come anyway. You know what I mean?
Right.
So,
and
that's just not true.
They fucked around and found out. And now they're gonna fuck around and find because they're not gonna be able to plan nothing with us. Like
right.
Because nobody's showing up from this point forward. You destroyed the spirit of our thing, And of course, but I mean, we're resilient, and that means that we got to create another thing. We'll create another thing, and all that.
Yeah, we still got to buy you classic.
There's enough black dollars in this country. I don't even know why they allowed them to come in and buy that. Somebody black could have.
Yeah, but I also think they do that stuff under the table. I think
I'm sure they did because I ain't hear nothing about it.
Right, yeah. A lot of people were saying like, I didn't even know Essence was up for sale.
Exactly. So that's what I'm saying. Like they also gatekeep what they're doing and keep it under the table so that we can't jump in and buy it.
Yeah, they get us talking about Diddy and his baby oil.
Come on.
Right.
While they talking about the baby oil, we gonna be selling Essence, okay?
Exactly.
Watch for the distraction.
That was a distraction because when they found him half guilty, half not guilty, she was all over social media for like a week and a half.
Yeah,
I avoided that shit. Like
I didn't look at it.
Yeah, people was like, "You heard about the Diddy trial?" I'm like, I have no
clue what's going on. And you know what's funny? Y'all sent me out to go look at Lovecraft and all that. Mm-hmm. I got 2 episodes in so far.
Yep, that Lovecraft is big.
Hell yeah. But while I'm looking for that on the thing, all I see is all these little things about the little biopics, I guess, about Diddy this and Diddy that and the fall of Diddy. And I was like, they don't waste no time. And and I'm not watching none of it. That's so stupid.
I can't even approve none of that.
Thank you.
Right, yeah. Like that shit gonna be on. That's gonna be like some Tubi shit.
Exactly. And when I tell you it was 4 or 5 different ones, I was like, these people.
Yeah. I saw
those things. The ones you talking about, they came out when the accusations. The man hadn't even got arrested yet. They had the Fall of Diddy, some mini Diddy documentary. I'm like,
because I'm like, no, I get it.
Totally
I get we on YouTube doing stuff,
and all they doing is pulling footage from old shit and with somebody talking over the footage. That's it.
Now, while I believe that there is a measure of truth to the things that happen.
Yeah.
For me, this is a display of a domestic violence case mixed with a little Mad Day.
Yep.
I think so too.
This is when Mad Day comes.
Yeah.
This is Mad Day. And it's unfortunate. I feel for the young lady.
Right.
Yeah.
But, like Riley, you know, when R. Kelly went to pee on that girl, why she ain't moved? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I'm like, right.
Never ever sit there like, that shit.
I pissed some people off because I said the same thing when they had that video with her leaving the hotel, trying to get away from Diddy. I was like, when the fuck did she get time to pack a bag?
Right.
Your ass, go get you some new clothes.
Right.
You got a whole bag,
just leave.
And you're walking. You walking away. If somebody kicking my ass, I'm running.
Right.
I'm out. You're gonna catch me out in the street. I'm like,
yeah.
You know, and
that would make sense. And it was like a mix of those
bag. It's like, no, it's not about the bag. But I can't say she's totally innocent in this. She wanted that life. She had been putting up with this for a while.
His side, her
side, and the truth.
True. Yeah.
But you know, if she didn't pack her bag, Fred, he wouldn't have been able to see her packing and try to get her to stop and show that he loved her.
Thank you.
What's wrong with you? Get it together.
Strategy.
I still feel for her though. I don't wish that on anybody. That's awful.
Not at all. But she didn't deserve none of that crap.
The beating part.
Yeah, I mean, nobody deserves all.
You got to keep showing up to have sex. You got to keep coming over.
Thank you.
Got to keep
somebody else. I don't feel bad because I'm the only one saying that.
Yeah, no, for real. No. I mean, you're not looking at all of a situation. Try to look at all of a situation, right?
And I'm sure there was some manipulation, and she loved him, so she.
Absolutely.
Right.
There's some
Stockholm syndrome when you fall in love with your abuser. You know, so
it
like,
happens. You know, I don't want to say, well, it happens, but it's unfortunate.
That's something unfortunate. Yeah, and that is part of a norm of a domestic violence, a violent or abusive relationship, where you're scared to make a move, and then or you get an opportunity to make a move, and then you know, again, you didn't got manipulated so much, and it's mind control, it's emotional control, it's like it's strategy. There's strategy involved.
And of course, she had a lifestyle.
Yeah, that right there is part of the strategy.
You know, that's strategy. A lot of fear. So, and you know,
there's financial abuse is real abuse.
So I was trying to think why I didn't see any charges of him actually physically of any assault, right? I know
assault, right? He got some minor league shit.
He got sex
trafficking.
Their whole case was built around trying to get him on the sex trafficking.
Okay.
And racketeering, right?
Right.
It would have gotten the federal
limitations on assault.
She never filed, and plus she took that.
She took that bread. Yeah, she took that money.
She took that deal, so that kind of killed that.
She can do nothing with that one.
But you know, that's a whole mental health.
It is.
Absolutely. That would take years, but
years.
Sometimes you don't go to therapy. You know, you go to court, but you really should go to therapy or do both.
And court.
Yeah. And bring your therapist to court with you. You know
help you do it.
Like, this is my lawyer.
We don't like going to court, so please pay us not. You don't have to pay a lot of money to get us to court. If I get a subpoena, you're gonna get charged a pretty penny because I don't want to be in court. I don't like it.
Right. Shit.
It's ridiculous.
Yep, did he come on to your house at late at night, scorching eye with some baby oil? Nice with that baby oil, did he? Don't go to court, bitch.
You're so stupid, Brian.
That's enough, baby oil. I don't believe that. I don't believe it. I don't believe that. That man had.
But the whole big ass room for the baby. Oh yeah. I think that was well, you know, they gotta give things a theme. He might have had a room. Yeah, he might have had a room that had 10 things of baby oil.
And they said the room was full of baby oil.
Right. And they just
come on now.
And all our minds went crazy, and we thought it was like a garage full.
Yeah. Because we're all parents here. We know how long a bottle of baby oil is.
I still got baby oil. Was a baby.
18 years old. That same bottle of baby oil.
You still got that shit.
Oh my God! Yes.
And only so much you can do with baby oil.
Yeah. And you're not really supposed to be using it for those kind of things.
It's not a very safe lubricant. People remember that. Don't get out there and use that baby oil.
Water-based lubricant, people.
Right, that stuff dry out so fast and roll up. Start rolling up like it.
Exactly.
You better get some. They would say he had KY.
The baby.
As much money as you got, you ain't got no KY.
Exactly.
Come on. Thank you. Yeah.
You got the warming thing.
Boy, this show be going off. Just
baby.
I was over here typing, minding my business.
We drew you in. Yeah.
We in
decided to show up.
Oh my
God.
Thanks for accepting the invite.
I'm gonna do y'all like she did Diddy. They made me do it. I had to type in all the stuff and figure out how to get in, but they made me do it.
You couldn't tell that story over typing. You had that was.
Yeah, I mean, if you would had to have been there, there's more to it than that, but I'm trying to have less stuff.
But that's a whole nother show because
and we can talk about that and how that affected my mental health.
Absolutely, I think that's a good idea too.
As a Black woman, and being in this space, I am much less empowered than I would be if
you was around,
in a more diverse person.
Yeah,
honestly, we can talk about that.
Word.
In fact, you might charge me because you might have to unpack some stuff.
Man, you got insurance. I charge you. I got
good insurance. I got good insurance.
And we can do that. That's what I'm saying. Tell me what to do. So this was a good show. Remember, people, this is every time you see a show, it's part one.
Yeah, it's always part one.
Always part one, because we're making it back around because again, this is a subject close to all of our hearts, and it's gonna come back up, and we're gonna have different themes and different things to talk about and all that kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So that's good stuff. Anybody have any shout outs before we go right quick, just because I prepared it and I don't want to waste time on that. I also asked me and my co-host we talked about lyrics and how important lyrics are and how they can be timeless and all that. And I'm gonna start with Fred's. I'm gonna move us to the side for I think over there. Nope, that's not it. Nope, that's not. Nope, that's not it. I think that's it. That's what I want right now. I'm gonna figure that one out. So Fred picked this song, Mercy Media Ecology with Barton Gang. Fred, what was it about these lyrics that made you pick this one?
I've always liked the message in this song. It didn't resonate when I was younger, but I was looking at something on Instagram. Mm-hmm. Somebody did a video with this song. They were using clips from Katrina, and they were using clips from the recent floods up there in Central Texas.
Right.
They was using some clips from some protests back in the 60s. Mm-hmm. The Black Lives Matter, and then the Latin American protests that they have in LA now. Mm-hmm. And just listening to the song, it was kind of like, the kind of like you said earlier, all of this is kind of like a cycle. We've been through this before, but now we're going through it again. Mm-hmm. And you see stuff like that, and you do. I caught myself saying, hey man, why stuff couldn't be like it was, back in the day. It just, and maybe because I was like a young adult, and like Brian said, it was a lot of stuff that I didn't even worry about back then at that time.
Yeah, it wasn't involved. So
but it was like I was involved in stuff, but it just seemed like this should be an easy fix.
Mm-hmm. Should be,
should be an easy fix.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And until you sent me that, I didn't even realize this song didn't have that many lyrics. Like that's all the lyrics to this song.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. That's why I love this song because it's short, but it's powerful.
It's very powerful.
Oh, powerful. So powerful and still so relevant. You know.
Yeah.
So Brian picked Jesus, Children of America. Let me say something, Brian. I'm just gonna throw this out here because when we have to look stuff up, we get to re-listen to it and all that, right?
Right.
So you picked the transcendental meditation for the part,
right,
and all that, but I also paid attention to I put the other lyrics on the side.
Right. But don't talk about the other lyrics on the side because I'm about to talk about the other lyrics on the side.
I'm telling you, that's why I made sure I included that.
Okay. Well, yeah. All right. Now the reason why I picked that because for one, when I first realized what he was saying,
right,
and then I looked up, and of course this was years ago, and I looked up what transcendental meditation was, and I was like, oh, so then I'm going back through the song, and I'm like, this is not a church song. Like they think it is.
Yeah.
I was like, what Stevie is saying, stop lying to the goddamn people. The transcendental meditation line was here's another option. Yes. You know what I'm saying? It was here's another option. Here's something else that you can do. Because it's more like it's challenging the preacher. Yes. Not don't tell him that, tell him the truth. Yeah. Because you see, like further down when and you really can't really hear it in the song, but in the background they're saying, don't lie to him, repetitively. You know what I'm saying? So he's really challenging the belief system, between the purchase story to keep you in line, the way it's been running, and the truth. You know what I mean? That real truth in that,
Yeah.
But yeah. So when I first figured out how heavy that song was, because when you just listening to it, you think, oh yeah, Stevie made a church song. You know what I mean? It's not an odd thought process. But then when you really get dive into the lyrics, you see it's a lot more going on now.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm gonna just be transparent. Like until I listened and paid attention to the lyrics today, I ain't know either. I was like, oh Stevie.
Right.
You were saying some stuff, Stevie. Yeah.
I've heard this. This is one of my favorite Stevie Wonder songs. I never felt like it was a church song.
Yeah.
But until I read this, that I was like, because I didn't look that deep into it. I just know it didn't feel like a gospel song. It felt like I'm trying to say something. Yeah. I just haven't went deep enough to see.
Right. Because I remember when Donnie McClurkin and the Winans had redid the song. And when I saw them when they did it, I said when I heard them singing it, I said I wonder if they trying to make a point or are they just singing a song and really don't know what they're singing about. You know what I'm saying? And I kind of thought maybe Donnie McClurkin was. I didn't know the Winans to be controversial. And not that Donnie McClurkin was controversial, just that when he did We Fall Down, everybody kept saying it was controversial. I was like, it's not that really. It's not that controversial. Yeah, remember everybody kept saying it's a controversial song. And I'm like, maybe I'm missing something. I don't see controversial.
It's controversial if you don't want us to get back up.
Right.
I just thought he was high all the time.
Really? It could have been.
Look at his interviews. He be
I ain't ever
I never saw none of his interviews.
He was high.
Yeah. And before I throw mine up, is there any song mode that the lyrics move you in a certain way?
Of course there is. And I thought about this. I mean, I didn't plan on coming on, but
of course
when I saw what you were doing, I thought about it. And the song is As by Stevie Wonder.
That is my favorite Stevie Wonder song.
Oh yeah.
And
what's out some lyrics?
I'm going to give you just a few. The ones that the whole song is wonderful, but it's when he talks about these impossible things, like until the trees and seas just up and fly away always, until the days that 8 times 8 times 8 is 4.
Oh, come on.
Until the day that is the day that is no more.
Come on.
Until the earth starts turning right to left, until the earth just for the sun denies itself.
Denies itself.
I'll be loving you always.
Always.
Of course.
Now that's the unconditional love.
That's and it's just not just the unconditional part. It's just there is nothing possible.
Right.
That can, what I'm telling you is impossible. There'll never be a time when the sun just denies itself.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'll be loving you
always.
He put those lyrics together.
That is my favorite song. That's my favorite song.
That is my favorite song. Every time I hear that song,
yeah. Well, mine I chose is also a Stevie Wonder. Stevie
kicking ass
tonight.
He
is a musical genius.
Just shout out to Stevie Wonder. Stevie Wonder.
My button again. Where's my button at? Is it that one?
There you go.
All right. So I was listening to this, and me and the girls was just jamming because they loved them some Stevie Wonder too, right? And as I'm listening to it, the part that I highlighted there is the part that I actually we just Master Blaster jamming, and I listened, and he said they want us to join the fighting, but our answer today is to let all our worries, like the breeze through our fingers, slip away. Now I stopped right there and I said, damn, don't that sound like what black people doing right now?
Yep.
Exactly. They want us to join their party. Our answer is like, I'm chilling. You good?
Yeah, we resting. We resting. Y'all got it.
Yeah.
You got it.
Yeah. And that section right there. And I think that next part there, pieces come to Zimbabwe, third world right on the one. Now it's time for celebration because we've only just begun. That's what breaks my heart about Essence.
Yeah.
Because this is a time we're supposed to be unifying, right?
But it's actually kind of pathetic too, though.
Yeah. Yeah. The idea that, and even at the bottom, like, we've agreed to get together, join this children in Jah. When you move in the positive, your destination is the brightest star. So like the unity part, like the master, like back in the day, I was just Master Blaster Jam and just
right.
And I'm realizing like the jamming part is us. It's where them fans at.
Yeah. We out here jamming.
We out here jamming, and we're taking care of ourselves.
There you go.
Right.
This is a time for self-care for Black people. I have to give us our props for that.
Right. So I love me some Stevie Wonder, boy. Like,
boy, that Stevie is, I'm telling you, he
we might do a show just about Stevie. Yeah, I'm just saying, but like
lyricist, he was the best lyricist ever.
Bruh. Some of the love songs, I'm just like, I want somebody to love me. Just like me. Love me like Stevie said,
Not like Music Soul Child, but like
no, not like Music Soul Child. I love your music, but like, that was conditional, and all that. So I invite everybody out there that's watching on the replay or now or whatever, listen to your lyrics, man.
Yeah, man.
And if your lyrics are not empowering, you should question that. And if you listen in the lyrics that's not empowering on a regular basis, and then you feeling bad all the time, what are you feeding? Right? Feed the thing you want to grow. So we all want a song that's relatable. Even my bumping me against the wall. That there's a verse in there that says sometimes you gotta get knocked down to get up. There's still empowerment in that song, right? So be careful of what you're feeding yourself.
Right.
So, any other final thoughts before we put our final thought up there?
I'm just saying, make sure you understand that how to separate entertainment versus information. You know what I'm saying? And ain't nothing wrong with some entertainment because I love my Project Pat.
Absolutely.
Pat. Y'all play some Project Pat, get off. But I treat it for what it is. It's entertainment. You know what I mean? Yeah, I'm not looking for nothing from Project Pat, but so you feed your mind. You know what I mean? Don't make it all. Don't live the fantasy out in real life because real life got real consequences.
Amen.
Gotta recognize.
Yeah, I recognize.
Fred, you got anything?
Remember that the music can feed the mind and the soul. So, as we said earlier, be careful what you're taking in, because you may not be getting out what you're looking for.
Yeah, all right. Momo?
Make the choice on how you want to feel and then act accordingly. My brother's birthday is today, and he died 2 years ago.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. Yeah. It was a heavy day for me because I wasn't ready. You know, my sister passed away. It was time for her to go. My brother passed. I was like, it's me. So I'm really, dealing with that. But I decided today that I'm not gonna live in that space. So I turned on a little gospel music this morning because it was Sunday. Sang my heart out. Had a couple of tears, but they were happy tears because, again, when you were talking about turning that into a time of celebration,
right?
So I'm getting there, but you make the choice. Don't just if you find yourself sinking in something, turn that shit off.
Yeah.
Turn on something else.
Something else.
Feel better. You know what I'm saying?
And that's good because you can make the choice.
Yes, you can. Absolutely. And thank you so much for inviting me. I appreciate it.
Man,
all right.
You brought yourself up in here. You
did.
Exactly. Like you said something that incited the crowd.
Yeah. No, we need to know this right now.
And let me tell you something out there in podcast land and all that. If you are watching the show and you say something inciting, we will invite you in. It's just you're just a link away. You know what I'm saying? Like talking. And if you are looking for a therapy practice or you are trying to find a therapist, there are plenty of therapists that choose an empowerment. If you want to have a jam session for your session, it's your hour. So because it's all therapeutic, but we're going to connect the things and help you to heal in the midst of those things. So remember, we are conscious, we are aware, we stay prepared, and we ain't never scared.
Never know.
So thank everybody for showing up tonight, and we'll see y'all next week where we're talking about the difference between niggas and black folk.
Shawnnell.
You ready?
Peace
Black
out.
power.